All right. It's going to be. Yo, I swear. I hope this isn't boring today, man. Like typically when I come on here, it's like a bunch of people talking about a bunch of people. It's like a bunch of people on Discord talking about other people on Discord. If you don't find that entertaining, which I fucking don't, you might find the fucking game entertaining. I'm gonna have it turned down because if I have it turned up a lot, then you can't hear me talking, can't hear these people talk. So, fuck everything I'm saying. Let's just get into it. Let's see what we got.
Target computer, just a lot, just slightly better than the T90. And they also have a better reverse speed, so if you get shot at, you can easily move out of the way. Unlike the T90, which doesn't really have a fast thing. And the Abrams also, I think, also has a better armor.
I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, the Abrams the Abrams does have I think a better base armor. When it comes to reactive armor, Russia and America are about equal. Maybe America has a slight edge, but it's up in the air.
The only difference is I think the Abrams has a weaker cannon, but that doesn't really make up for much because the Russians had
the Russian tanks, the T90, the most modern T90 is 20 tons lighter than the what's it called? Than the most modern Abrams.
Yeah,
and additionally the tracks of a T90 are also, I think, twice the width or like some crazy amount of more wide than the Abrams.
How many T90s can Russia realistically field? And that's, I think, my main argument why Russia is a lot weaker than a lot of people suspect. Because not only is there, I mean, you cannot deny there's pretty rampant
for every
corruption
one. Wait, actually, let me check
Russian,
something.
in Russian military structure. I mean, that's pretty much undeniable that they have a lot of corruption issues in their military. But
for every one Abram, two T90s can be created.
How capable is Russia in the way to handle its equipment? That's my main argument. Like, how much of their equipment is actually like taken proper care of? How much of their equipment is manned by people that actually have that have had sufficient training?
Practically all of it.
From based on recent
wouldn't
it seems
be?
like they've gotten better.
Wait, why wouldn't their equipment be fielded by people who have been trained with that equipment?
That tank is a snap for an A10.
Well, I mean, first of all, wait, are you not going to dispute the fact that I was saying that the Russian military structure is pretty fucking corrupt and that they don't take good care of their equipment compared to like modern countries like the US? You're not going to dispute that?
Their what's it called? Their military fucking officials are quite corrupt. However, it is also a fact that Russian equipment takes far less money to maintain.
Yeah, but that's not gonna help, and no one is taking good care of the equipment that they have.
Wait, what do you mean it's not gonna help them? Wait, we were just making arguments about how, oh wait, the what's it called? As the US is spending so much money on maintaining their. I don't give a shit about the equipment. Corruption equates to a portion of the budget being seized by the corrupt oligarchs.
So there is evidence of this in the northern front. The Russian tanks had no gas. A lot of them, they were coming into Ukraine with not enough gas to actually get it to Kiev. Like, that's not
the Russian tanks were never meant to reach Kiev. The fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, it's a good waste of tanks though. That isn't.
Sure. That was one of the main blunders. One of the biggest blunders of the war. They shouldn't have gone in a column, right? They could have easily just spread out and reduced casualties. But that whole like northern offensive wasn't there to capture Kiev.
I think the main thing that went wrong is they tried to blitzkrieg a country that had multiple weeks with CIA intelligence and basically the best intelligence that they could have possibly had on the invasion.
They didn't try to blitzkrieg it.
Well, then why did they spearhead for Kiev?
At all. It did quite the opposite. The entire reason Genghis Khan.
Nothing. That's vanilla.
You're a fucking weirdo.
Bruh, you're just too vanilla. That's
it out.
Black Israelites are just like the really shitty version of the super giant race that lives up there. They race mixed with Homo sapiens, and that's why they're like that now. They're the descendants of the chosen people.
You think a human fucked a chimpanzee, and then out came a black person?
Saying that, that's such a retarded ass point.
Not really.
The Chad, I actually wonder this. Okay, do you ever think about how like your life is not even as good as most other black people, and like you're shitting on those people, and you think they're
Jeez.
chimps, but like you're the
You
real chimp
think
here?
my life is shittier than everybody
Yes.
that's living in Africa?
No, but I'm talking about America, the
Because that's
United
where
States.
most black people
Okay,
live.
but
In Africa.
okay, hold on. Did you
I
grow up?
mean,
Hold on, Chad. Did you grow up in Africa? No, you grew up in the United States. So you had the same privileges as other broke ass black people in the United States, and yet you also ended up broke because you suck. You're just as bad as
same
them. Okay,
privileges. Same
you're broke.
privileges? I had the same privilege.
Yes, true.
Same privilege. I'm
Broke.
not broke, but
Oh, you're
you
not broke.
think of
Okay. My bad. My bad. I just made an assumption. I thought you lived in your car.
just because
It's in a
someone
truck.
lives outside doesn't mean that they're broke.
He lives in his
I
truck.
mean, I mean,
Dude, if you live in your car, you're broke.
I'd
That's
rather
just
have a,
average American.
you know,
That's just the average American
if I
in
could have a,
California with a $3 million house price.
They're actually
I could be living
millionaires,
in
but they're
one of those
living
in
in their
6 months.
car.
You don't know.
Yeah, because they can't afford the rent.
Yeah, they just can't
You can
afford.
find a couch.
They have 3
You
degrees,
just,
highly educated,
Bro,
making
just move
Go to
to Nebraska.
6-figure
and just
salary, but they still
buy
can't
a
afford the
car.
rent.
or I buy
Yeah,
a
true.
Bitcoin and make $1 million.
Bitcoin, holy fuck, astrology for
It
men.
almost
Don't do it.
happened.
Don't do it. Bitcoin
I had
next.
235 Ethereum once.
And then you
And then you
lost
lost it
it
all.
all.
You were duped by other white men. That's so funny. The white men fucking duped
No,
you.
I
How do you
actually
feel?
pussied out of the. I actually pussied out of the. I know a guy that got on the ICO on that.
I see you. What?
He go to the ICU after he
like,
lost all his money.
holy shit.
That's not what I
All right,
said.
people.
I know a guy that got into the ICO for Ethereum. Like, he got like 50,000 or some shit.
Is ICO like the term that
Like
like
IPO?
is it IPO but like for crypto?
Crypto?
Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is. Yeah, it's like initial
It's
coin offering.
ICU, man.
hell yeah, bro.
Oh shit! Wait, was that where all the scams were? Where people would like do?
About the Soviet Union, and I'm just stating the argument that the Soviet Union was just terrible in like the managing itself. It was very unstable. That's what I literally said. That's only the
I mean,
argument I made. And
was
yes,
willing
there
to
were many more
criticize.
countries, but the Soviet Union just didn't work.
I was happy to criticize the bureaucracy. I don't know if you were here earlier in this call. But
Yeah, I do.
I'm having a hard time understanding like your definition of app. I'm trying to hash it out still.
Yeah, let me frame it out for you. When we talk afterlife, we shouldn't stereotype afterlife with mythology and religion. Disconnect.
Group, but there's some sort of familiarity or recognition of something about you that's way more familiar than just like I grew up with these people. That has like an intimacy to it, right? And like that, then that could probably break a lot of those types of thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I totally get that. Yeah.
And at the same time, I get that like people just may not be attracted to groups or feel comfortable. Like that's another thing too. Like it's weird to expect like if you're a white person or a brown, some shade of brown or Asian or whatever, and you're with your in group, like like it's gonna be difficult or weird or nervous or odd to communicate, especially if you have no experience with people from other groups, right? Like that's I think we downplay that. Like we pretend like, oh, we're racist if we admit that like for example, I probably didn't start spending time around African American people until or like mentally registering that there's a real big difference there until like 6 or 7, right? So like of course there were times where if I was outnumbered by African American people, I was like nervous or scared or like didn't feel comfortable, right? And that didn't make me a racist. It made me not having a lot of experience communicating with a group that I just inherently knew wasn't the group I was from, right? And I could tell
Yeah.
the same things like because my same friends who were African American who would come hang out with me, they would be uncomfortable around in the same situations because they're like, oh shit, all these white people, like, oh whoa, like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no,
They're equally as uncomfortable. So I think that's part of like the problem too, is that we have this expectation that everyone's supposed to look at each other like we're the same and all
Great, man.
comfortable.
I
But really, it's
I
like,
don't think
hey,
it's
I'm
about
not super
looking at.
comfortable. Like, you know what I mean?
It's not that like we're saying, or the other side is saying like, oh, you have to see each other as equals. It's more that like we should all be treated equally under the law.
Well,
You get what
yeah,
I'm saying?
and I don't.
Of
Well, I
course.
don't think that you should see people as unequal. I think it's just we should cut each other some slack to say like, hey, bro, like I don't like we're different. Yeah, you're right. We're different. Like start there. Okay, we're different. Okay, that's cool. Like that could be okay. You know what I mean? We
Mhm.
don't have to be the same. We don't have to all be the same. We don't all like. I don't have to get your culture. Like, you don't have to get my culture, right? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah, we could do our own
Charmander,
things, live our own lives,
my
right?
I'm sorry for interjecting. This is quite rude
No,
from
you're
my
good.
side, but
No,
thanks, man.
you're all good.
So I wanted to say, the problem, Charmander, I agree with you with such things, right?
Yeah.
Everything that you're saying is 100% right. Everyone's different culturally, ideologically.
Mm.
I sincerely prefer to stay with, Swedes and Sudanese people. That's what I prefer, more than staying with any other ethnic group. I feel home when I'm around those two ethnic groups, right?
Yeah,
Well, I
shows
think it's
really
also
diverse.
like experience, right? Like Char was talking about, like as you start to become more experienced and you have more interactions with people, that sort of subsides. I mean, I grew up in a super diverse neighborhood. I grew up in a diverse school. I grew up with diverse friends. So like this idea that, oh, if I was in a room of people that didn't look like me, I'd be nervous. I guess I wouldn't necessarily question that, right? Because I'm not nervous, right?
Okay, I will tell you that, but
Kind of.
I would prefer to be in a room with people who understand and adhere to my culture, not specifically look like me, right? But understand and adhere to my identity and culture. And I would be very comfortable around them. I will feel like I'm in home. That's the whole point behind it. But comes the problem where people use such things to justify inequality between humans, right? You're saying, okay, because you're this, I'm more superior than you. I have a superior culture, which is subjective, of course.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. You get me, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah. And I don't necessarily disagree with what Char is saying about race. Yes, we all have our differences. Yes, we all come from different backgrounds. And there is going to be some sort of mutual understanding between the races that interact with each other, that's going to always be like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be like that, but there's always going to be that sort of understanding between the two. I don't know if I like articulated your point
Well, that's good.
correctly. Shut up. Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who's being here being disrespectful. Don't be doing that.
Just some stupid trolls, guys. Not a big of a deal.
I don't like that shit. Yeah, let's see here.
Like I'll be honest. I guess on a personal level, I would be more comfortable around like Asian Americans and white people, right?
Makes sense, man. That's all
Yeah.
Gucci. That's the way to go. No?
Yeah, I mean, I will say I might be ignorant on like Pepe's points, but I mean, what are his points on the whole like being right wing thing? Like, I don't get that.
I mean, he's a race. I think a lot of his stuff is around like civic nationalism and like race realism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
More race realism than anything.
I think that was like his whole shtick.
Is he even a civic nationalist, man?
Maybe.
I press X to that.
Well, I wouldn't even say he's a civic nationalist because, like, if you were a civic nationalist, you would.
See, like I said, people talking about other people in the fucking Discord is so stupid every fucking day. That's all it is.
They respect and
to
obey
the
the
social
nation.
contract, right?
True. But he's not. He's not a civic nationalist. The dude is
That's what I'm saying.
Oh man, this is funny. It's like
right.
history repeating itself in the server, man.
Oh god.
What's repeating?
All roads lead to Rome, man. All the pathways lead to Rome every single time.
Yo, we Romans now.
My guy, let me tell you, let's protect the Americans. You know, after he secures protecting the Americans, oh man, we should protect, you know, the mid class, Oh, we secured protecting the mid class. You know what? Let's protect the actual Americans. You know, the white man now. Always goes that way.
Yeah,
I don't know
like
who you're supposed to be.
there's always sort of this understanding that like if you adopt a certain point, eventually you'll have to like become more extreme over time, right?
You mean
It's
a slippery
inherent,
slope?
I mean,
it's not like they are becoming. I'm sorry for interrupting. I just want to say something to you, real quick. It's not that they becoming extreme over time. They already have such ideas in their head, but they are unable to express it without validation from a group. They need a group. They need validation from individuals around them. Please go ahead. Sorry for interrupting.
Who was talking before? I mean, I guess so, right? But like you're saying, it just like it goes from one thing to another, and then like the ideas become more extreme. So it's like, yes, they might have these ideas in their heads already, but it's like I'm trying to figure out the fucking word phrasing I'm gonna use. You gotta give me a second.
Describe it, my dear.
It's like
Please.
even if they have these ideas already there, it's like why take up more extreme positions? Because like there's sort of like this in-group preference, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's not that they are taking those extreme positions due to the fact that they have those set in-group preferences. They are taking them because it validates their entire ideology, right?
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. So.
And once it does, they will feel secure in their own bubble. So it's a whole thing to do with the bubble mindset, right? You feel like you're in a
The echo
bubble in
chamber.
your own echo chamber. Everyone is agreeing to the same moral values. You have the same moral values, the same framework. It's just like you're saying something, someone says the same thing, and it's this continuous validation, as I said previously, and it keeps their view very narrow. There is nothing I can add to this discussion more than just saying that again and again.
No, I get that. I guess we can move on.
What do you believe in?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I would say I'm a conservative libertarian.
You're a libertarian, huh?
Yeah, moderate one. I don't believe in anarchy. I don't believe in that extreme form.
Libertarians.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't believe in anarchy, huh?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Just a view that, people should be left alone as long as they're not hurting anyone. I guess that's a simple way of putting it, but yeah. I guess that's
a
the basic.
Classic libertarian. A very classic libertarian. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, of course, people can say sort of the same things like I was saying about Pepe, right? Oh, you're not really right wing. You're not a true representation of the right, right? And I get that. I'm not.
You're not truly that right if you're a libertarian. Like, what defines you as right-leaning? This is the question that I would ask at this point. Why would you say that you're a right-leaning individual?
Capitalism and the belief that we should not expand government. We should at least shrink it to a point where the main functions still exist, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't have this huge bureaucracy that we have right now.
A question: Do you believe that there should be taxes, consumers' goods?
Yes, yeah. I think
Do you
generally.
believe?
Wait, on consumer goods?
Yeah, on goods and
Oh no
businesses.
I don't believe in taxes when it comes to consumer goods or
What
like
about
any necessary.
businesses? Should they pay taxes?
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah. But I guess where I would come from is like I think the taxes should be low enough so it actually doesn't mess with the market at all, as opposed to people who would want to jack up the taxes. So like I would be in favor of lower taxes.
I see.
Yeah.
What should the government do with the taxes, or this organizing group?
I think there's
Maintain
basic.
order.
I think there's basic options or basic functions that the government should at least put their money towards. Like, I think the easiest one to say is like foster care, right? Kids can't fucking work. Kids can't make a living. They can't do all that shit. So you have to have some of these, at least government institutions in place to sort of facilitate that. But I guess on the flip side, I could say, well, there's a lot of waste in foster care spending. A lot of the money is actually not going towards foster youth, but instead all these programs that are not even related, right? And you could say the same thing about any government spending, right? We have a lot of examples of that, and I mean, I guess a libertarian approach to that would be to just eliminate government waste, make money more
How can we
accountable.
eliminate government waste? How can we eliminate government waste? Tell me, please.
Reassessing what our priorities are.
Yeah. Well, not that, but also sort of like studying where our money is going, having more transparency and that sort of stuff. I mean, basically what senators like Rand Paul are doing, Thomas Massey, right? Thomas Massey's not a senator, he's a representative, but I guess their policy of like highlighting the waste and seeing if we can get rid of the waste by legislating it out. Making our tax money and where it goes more transparent. I think those are important things. So I don't know. What do you think?
Simply,
fuck it. Just put the party to no fill ready up.
No, do trios because fours with like.
Is he not coming back?
I know, like those people that are supposed to kind of, tackle the issue. They did nothing. Like they knew of it, but then they kind of just ignored it because they think that like if you focus on the issue, you're attacking the LGBT community. So like they're fucked up, because like the governor signed those laws like into place that allowed like people who identify as a female to go into the bathroom, but then it kind of got violated because men were taking advantage of that bathroom issue and then using it to actually go into girls' bathrooms and just cause fucking shit. And then
Draconic, may I ask you something?
They covered it, like the school boards covered it up.
Draconic.
So what? I'm almost dying, I swear. And then when the Republicans got elected, they fired and then they prosecuted the school board member who covered it up because he like he's such a scumbag, and then like they framed the dad as someone horrible and evil, and then they and then just to cover it up entirely, like so if something like that happened again, they would have covered it up had the Republican governor in charge now elected had not investigated into it and prosecuted that scumbag school board member.
I mean, you wanted to send me another article because, quite frankly, with this one, I cannot work with it.
Wait, the chill. I sent you in chill links.
Okay.
Yeah, it explains it better. I'm just trying to, because like I am left wing, but like I think that like I think a kid should be an adult before they transition or.
Oh, I mean,
whatever.
the thing is, right? Having gone to high school during this era, having grown up with people around this, I try to be nice and understanding. I was, I understood. I didn't judge friends. I just listened. Right? I was like, oh, okay, fine, cool, whatever. But the thing is, and I don't know what the correlation is, and I don't mean this to sound offensive. It's purely out of my own curiosity. I don't, and you can say it's what's it called when it's from your own perspective and not empirical data. There's a word for it. Shit. When you call it anecdotal. Yeah, there we are. It's evidence, but also it is to an extent backed up that it's shown to not just be anecdotal, but also shown by others. But I don't understand why all of the trans people at my school who I knew when I'd known them previously to coming out as trans, they all said that they suffered mental health issues. So I can't help but, it's not a bit of a correlation between teenagers saying they're trans and, childhood trauma or alternatively certain levels of mental health issues. I mean that in a genuine way, only out of concern. I don't mean that in a, trans people are mentally. Genuinely, it's.
May I ask something here?
Yeah.
Nowhere in, like, I'm currently reading this article. The boy who is accused is not trans.
Yeah, I know, but he was like, it varies. Like, there's people
guys.
who dress as trans, or like they go on a diet to kind of slim up and have a girl body, like with a diet, and then like
No, it's just that
trans
and
means
this
like
is
taking the hormones in the body or whatever. And, like,
mate.
Like
What I want to tell
Guys, I
you
got
is
a
that this
question.
dude just wore a skirt,
Yeah, I know,
wants
he
to
says-
get into this restroom and then, do what he did.
was trans though for their eyes. Like that's how it goes, because there's two different types: the people who take the hormones, and then the people who dress as and go on a diet to slim their body so they can kind of look like a
Draconic, either that or, and I might be frank with you, school restrooms are not a policed area. Like, I'm not there to ask you,
But exactly
what is
that's-
stopping you from going into a girl's bathroom besides, looking like a weirdo?
But they're exactly they're not policed already, so it doesn't make any difference, does it? Like a pervert could just go into a bathroom anyway, couldn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
But the way the law
But this way it's accepted, though. It's encouraged. It's allowed.
Yeah, the way the law was, though, it allowed him to kind of just enter because he was dressed as a girl. It's like, so it's like if someone didn't look close, like, oh hey, they would have thought he's a girl, and then obviously.
Before America went crazy, there was no need for laws about who went into bathrooms. There's just sexual assault and there's like being a pervert. Like you can police those things separately from having like different rules for who can go in where. Because sometimes you need to use the women's bathroom if the males is just like full of nasty shit or something. You want to get arrested for that, do you? America's gone crazy. America's crazy, honestly. Deaf to America.
It's not crazy.
No, don't say deaf to America.
No, it's entity, not the people. I love the people. I just expect better of them. That's why I say that.
Yeah.
Death to America. Death
America
to
be damned.
The great Satan.
That's so weird.
The great Satan. We must bring it down.
Yeah, America be
Don't
damned.
let men go into women's bathroom. Death to America. What? That sounds so stupid.
Yeah, it's only America that's got an issue with this thing. You know what I mean?
I think when you're talking about like social boundaries, it depends on the people. So like it depends on what kind of the people were under examination.
Like, women don't want men in their bath.
No. It depends on the people, right? It depends on the people, right? So like if you're dealing with like like Mongol hordes, right? You're dealing with like people who are very masculine, very savage, right? You need to police social boundaries very, very tightly, like because men are high energy. You need to make sure that for the safety and comfort of everybody that we have a big thick wall between.
No,
two.
man, you gotta stop. You're speaking like a fucking Sam Hyde schizo post.
No.
Hold on. What are we talking about?
Like you went off then. So
we were talking about
religious. That was fucking
religious.
Religious what? Huh?
What?
No, he just went absolutely off the rails.
What?
On what?
You sound like 2070 paradigm shift.
What?
Like, what the fuck?
What are you saying? What are these? What are you
Hold
talking?
on,
Are you
hold on. No,
having
who are
some
we
kind
talking
of?
about? Who are we talking about?
I was saying the way he was speaking then, he sounded like when fucking Sam Hyde did the 20.
Yeah, no, that's the TED Talk. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he just like he went. So like these issues, this death to America, it was just fucking hilarious. That is
Who are we talking about? Like who's the guy who was doing that?
I think it's Khan the Betrayer. Pretty sure because he went.
Okay, so
he went. These Mongol hordes, they're savages.
Karn.
To a trans bastard.
No one cares. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up, faggot. He's speaking. Have some respect. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, put some respect on my name. All right.
Okay, so Karn, what was this? What is this conversation?
I was
even
actually.
about?
I wanted to have it with the guy who was doing the poo pooing, but he left as soon as I started speaking because he fears my power.
Yeah,
I know. Very scary.
Yes.
I just dominate. I dominate the room that I'm in. My coworkers
mentally.
He could feel the Apollonian energy coming from me.
He could feel it coming from you.
He could feel. I am possessed by the spirit of Aldebaran.
I am Greek god. I am possessed by Parisian spirits.
Yes.
Esoteric. I am esoteric. The Mongol hordes.
No, I am not. I do not think I am
Incense.
esoteric. I think perhaps I am Zarathustra, descended from the mountain. I am emissary from Aldebaran. I am.
What is Iran, bro? What?
I'm a messenger from Hyperborea.
No, don't say fucking Hyperborea.
I am from Agartha. How about that?
Yes.
What the?
No, you see the weak people. The weak people, they leave the chat. They fear this the charisma.
We were pushed out of Europe by the evil white devils created by Yakub.
Yes, Yakub. I do like Yakub. I do like it is a great philosophy of
Okay, in the Republican Party, it was completely different back then. What a retarded thing to say. What a stupid thing to say, man. My God, you're retarded. Why are you talking to this dude, other guy?
I mean, you're listening, so you're
No,
welcome.
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to the other guy. Yeah, you.
Wait.
Why are you talking to these dudes? Fire?
Wait, can I chime in 2
I'm
seconds?
just- I'm
2
just-
seconds.
You're gonna lose brain cells. You realize that, right?
Like, it's a broad argument when you say that both change ideologies.
If I were you, I would just like. If I were you, I just
But
go
before
outside
they
and,
had
like,
a
go,
liberal wing, and then they
I've
had
already been
a
outside. I've been to the
conservative
gym. Like, calm down. I need to.
I know. I'm just saying it's not good to talk to these people.
Yeah, I know. I talk to retards. It fills my ego of being smart.
Wait, can I finish real quick?
Oh, this
Wait,
guy
what I was
believes in
trying
a
to say
failed
was-
ideology. How can you say that you're talking to stupid people?
Failed
It's
ideology.
that's like a contradiction in itself. If you build an ideology based on liberalism, you're gonna have to tolerate opposite politics. So you're always gonna
No,
have decadence in your society.
conservatives are liberals.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's a
Libertarian.
failed ideology. Are you missing the point, bro?
No, progressivism would be on the left. It would be libertarian.
It doesn't matter. Conservatism plays into the hands of decadence because of tolerance and liberalism.
When people are thinking of liberalism, they're like they think of
stupid, bro.
progressivism. Like anyone
No.
ideally is a liberal because they believe in freedom or of the ability to do things without like any sort of government overreach or
That's what
or people
conservatives
policing government.
believe in.
The issue with progressivism though is that like okay, you have things like Twitter maybe, or I guess cancel culture that kind of is authoritarian because it's kind of like bullying people to kind of hold a certain view, and I think the issue of progressivism is just weakness, and it's pushing everything down, and it's just retarded to be like wanting to love America when progressives kind of do objectively hate America and want to dumb down everything and make everything unfun.
Yeah, but progressivism has more balls than conservatism based
No, it
on the
doesn't.
fact that
No,
they're
it
willing to
doesn't.
cancel people and whatnot. They're willing to take control of a situation that's there.
Yeah, I don't like people that take control. I'm sorry.
Conservatism. If conservatism did the same thing, I'd have more respect for it. Truth is, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
but conservatives don't control things. They don't like authoritarian figures. Well, wait.
And that's why they lose,
it's
bro.
just
That's my
hounding.
point.
Like it's just hounding though. If someone says, well, I don't know it's dumb, but like when someone's saying like it's getting canceled on Twitter, and then like their whole entire career is kind of ruined, for something they said many years ago. That is kind of like it's just hounding. It's not really, I guess, like authoritarian. Like it's not like it's just people like kind of attacking or whatever.
If anything, the
I
founding
wanna hear
fathers
what-
were like authoritarian to some extent because in their democratic system, not everyone could vote. Only very specific people that were allowed to climb to meritocracy that was well respected by the community, and their morality and politics aligned with the leaders anyway. They were authoritarian. They didn't allow like progressive parties to exist to a certain amount of time. And then eventually that changed.
Well, the pro
That's why
government.
democracy worked back then.
We're not
When
even a
it
democracy.
was no
buddy.
democracy. Interesting take.
Buddy, like we're not even a democracy
Yeah, there
to
was
start
democracy. It was just really strict.
with. No.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if we say,
bro.
okay, yeah, we're going
No,
to
what?
increasingly limit the amount of people that are able to vote and still call it democracy because it's technically people voting.
Okay, bro.
The Holy
It's not
Roman
technically
Empire.
democracy. It's not technically democracy by the modern day standard because your average citizen couldn't vote.
Yeah.
Then again, that's like what you get with democracy. If you let anyone vote, you're just going to get like a failure system anyway. I think the people that invented democracy was it the Greeks.
Are you referring to Athenian democracy,
Yeah.
where it also was just land-owning citizens who were allowed
What
to
they
vote?
tried, I think it was Greece, but they tried heaps of different forms of democracy, and each part failed, so they just gave up on it.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. Not to say that, the Athenian democracy stood for a relatively long time until the place was, conquered by
Well, give me a rundown
Macedonia.
on what Athenian democracy is. Give me a rundown on what that means, Athenian democracy.
Well, they had public assemblies in which, the citizens of Athens, specifically the wealthy ones, met up to decide on policy. I'm quite literally on this one. They had, they
Okay,
gave
bro.
out
So it's
different
similar to the
offices for
democracy.
example, public speakers.
It's similar to the democracy of the founding fathers.
To a certain degree, they had way less, I guess, representatives. It was more of a direct approach because it was yet limited to, this one little polity, one city-state.
So yeah. Pretty dumb argument.
I think even if you observe democracy now in the United States, I think capitalism and the banks by political influence. I'll show you a video proving this.
I mean, there were some founding fathers. I think there was one that actually, had this idea of a maximum wealth because he.
There's been some problems.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to say someone else's experiences, but I would imagine with software engineering, it might be a little bit easier. Like me, okay, I've actually put in a form recently, and I'm about to schedule my first appointment to start on HRT myself, and I'm kind of realizing. And I'm realizing, like, wait, oh shit, I'm going to be like this, like, trans femme engineer in a fucking room that's like a complete sausage fest.
Oh, what are your pronouns? Do you go by she, her?
Yeah, I'd prefer that. I haven't started transitioning or anything right now. I'm still just getting, trying to get myself with, like, a doctor, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you live in America?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Well, good for you. That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, I just found out I'm homophobic.
Based. Are there any
Yeah.
gay people in here?
Actually, it's funny you mentioned about gay people being in here. That'll be the first thing I'll get to do once I start my transition. I'll be able to go on my college campus and go up to those annoying Christians now and tell them, hey, I know you really didn't like that I was gay. Well, don't worry, I fixed it. It's straight now.
Oh my god. No, you're still a goof. You're still gay, bro. It changed nothing. It changed nothing.
Come on. Hey. Come on.
I'll just
What?
be like, don't worry.
That's awesome. I hope you I hope you have a good experience with it, and it's an exciting journey. So
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna be a little bit curious how like everything's gonna change, especially like my own internal sense of gender, because being male for 25 years has been an incredibly neutral experience towards me.
gotcha. Well, I mean, I I think we kind of have similar situations in a way. I started transitioning at 26, and
Can I ask you, or maybe I'll message you?
oh, yeah, you can ask me whatever. I don't mind. But yeah, probably message me. I don't know if there's any trolls in the chat stuff.
Yeah. Well, I can always just mute them. Really, I'm just kind of curious because, like, I'm 25, and one of the things I'm really worried about is whether or not I'm going to pass well or not. That's like
Well,
something that kind of concerns me.
that's a concern, but
Yeah,
well,
Fatal, I hope
okay. So from my
you're covered
perspective,
from the
what was that?
I'm not sure. I mean,
said I hope
So from
you're
my perspective,
covered
one of the things
from
that you need to be worried about is discrimination. People will treat you drastically different.
oh,
And
that's fine. That's not going to be as unless they're like physically trying to impact my life, like hurting me or trying to impact like my career or something. That's
yeah.
not going to be much of a problem. If it's going to be like emotional stuff, then
Here's the thing. Right now, conservatives' main platform, transgenderism, right?
yeah.
And that's like the number one issue that's being talked about right now. So the environment that we live in is particularly dangerous. It was
That
safer
is true.
5 years ago. So I'm just warning you: be careful, because people really are hostile to us. You'll understand. Like the other day, I went to the grocery store, and I was in a dress and everything, right? It's like kind of obvious. I don't perfectly pass, so it's like people could tell I'm transgender. This dude in the grocery store was literally staring at me for a good 15, 20 seconds. And I stared back at him. And after a while, he stopped looking at me and walked away. But, like, I don't know. Was he going to kill me? Was he going to do something? You don't know. So,
Yeah, I kind of get that. It is going to be a little bit weird too, because like my grocery store that I go to, everyone like knows me. I worked there for a couple years, and then a bunch of my friends work there as well. So,
yeah.
but one good thing about that is a shit ton of my friends at the grocery store I go to work there and know the management well. So if I have any problems with like customers, then I won't be afraid. And with school too, it's like I know the school takes a lot of these issues really seriously. I actually, one of the people who I knew at one point, I got kicked out of the school for being like a sex pest, and they were extremely swift with it. So I'm definitely not worried about like being able to bite back. If they fuck with me, I am not going to play nice. I will use every authority within my power.
Well, that's what I do too. Like, I'm just, I agree with you, and I'm glad that you understand this, because it's a dangerous world for us. Cynical, your keyboard typing is coming through your mic. Can you mute yourself?
Yeah, it is. You can
Thanks.
also, I'm not sure, you could also check if you have noise suppression on Discord. It's under your user settings.
Yeah, well, that's a good point too.
Yeah.
But I just know that when I came out as transgender, the world became a much more dangerous place. But it also became a much happier place as well. There's there's pluses and minuses to it. Like I can be my true authentic self. But by being my authentic self, I'm now more of a target. So
yeah, I mean,
you know.
I've so like a little bit about me. I've got ADHD and I'm like an autist. So I was kind of a target throughout all of middle school. So it's something I'm somewhat used to.
We can relate like almost perfectly. It's good. No, it's good to be able to talk to somebody that kind of has went through the same thing. And
right.
The thing is though, yeah, it's going to be tough to deal with, but make sure you have a good support structure. Make sure you have somebody that you can talk to, be vulnerable to.
Right. I think
didn't, like when I went to my first appointment, right, to get on HRT, I had nobody that came with me. I
Oh
went
man.
I went by myself, and that was 1 week after my girlfriend of 2 years broke up with me over being transgender.
Jesus. Well,
Yeah.
I know for a fact that I can rely on my brother and sister for it. My parents aren't going to they're probably going to be a little bit it's going to be difficult for them at first, but they'll get over it.
Did you tell them?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Well, I talked to my mom about it a couple of different times now throughout, once when I was 18 and then once a year or so ago. And both times it was not very pleasant. And it actually really crushed my intentions. I would have transitioned at 18 if it wasn't for me trying to just talk to my mom about it instead of just fucking doing it. So this time I'm not talking to them about it. I am scheduling my appointment. I'm getting my HRT. I'm going to get a support group, and once they're finally noticing the boobs, I'll talk to them.
Oh, well,
what are we talking about?
It's mostly just me and Fatal talking about transitioning and shit like that.
Yeah, being transgender.
Right.
I think it's a pretty interesting topic.
Yeah, it is.
For us, I could tell you, we don't want it to. I know you didn't mean it that way. That's not what I mean. But we don't want it to be an interesting topic. We want people to literally not talk about us, and just.
Oh no, I understand. I understand that. Yeah, I get that. I used to be really. I don't intend this to be offensive, but I used to be really deep down that rabbit hole, and eventually, I had this epiphany. I was like, is getting the surgery gonna make me stop hating myself? No. And I went to therapy, and that was my personal solution.
Yeah, I mean, things work differently for everyone, and
I think that
I'm just here listening. I'm going to interject because when this dude was like, "Oh, can't wait to go up to the Christians in my school and say, ha ha, ha," now you can't say. I'm like, bruh, shouldn't do that. That's the dumbest thing you can do. You want to bring attention to, you don't want to bring attention to yourself. That's the worst way to not bring attention to yourself.
No surgery that would make me stop hating myself. Right? And I realized that ultimately this is it is an issue with just how I view my self-image, right? And getting the surgery, I wouldn't magically stop hating myself. And I understand that's not how it is for everybody, but I think that's something that a lot of people should take a second to consider rather than immediately going for.
I think there's a lot of society does a lot of crap to our mental health.
Yeah, it does. I will say,
if we didn't have that going on, and if society wasn't so hostile, that we would probably have a better chance of being happy with ourselves.
Yeah, I think people being because ultimately trans issues are entirely people being uncomfortable because of societal expectations. I think that's largely a result of I don't know. I think I agree with you. Yeah, if society wasn't such a big factor, if society didn't profit off of people being dysphoric, then this would be much less of an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, as we were talking about it, it was really interesting. Me and a friend of mine were recently looking at some studies about certain topics like detransitioning and things like that. And what fascinated me was that there was very wide differences in numbers depending on the country. Like I can't remember which country it was, but it was some Nordic country, only like 2%. Whereas like I think one of the more recent studies in the US was like 30%. And so I'm kind of
Transition?
like detransitioned.
Okay, yeah.
And
No,
what fascinated me about it and the thought that I was having was like, you know, in the United States, there's so many barriers that you don't always even get to think about what you want unless you've got like the money to be able to afford that, you know?
Yeah.
Because like in places like I can't remember the Nordic country, but in pretty much all of them,
I'm pretty sure it's Switzerland is the one. I know the study you're talking
yeah,
about. You might.
yeah. And it's like in places like that, if you're trans, you have a way more accepting society.
Researched. Why is this research that I'm doing
The thing that
useful?
frustrates me is it doesn't have to be, right. Like it doesn't necessarily like look at Ayla, whatever the fuck you pronounce it. It doesn't have to be like, you know, this is, you know, a government funded huge thing. Like you just have to get enough people to fill out the questions. That's all that really matters.
But
Like
the
I said,
thing
it's
is,
not going
they
to be the
have
best
the.
data, but if you
Where
have enough
have you
of it,
gone?
it can show something.
That's true. However, the data set and stuff, it needs to be constructed in a good manner to serve some purpose. And then you're going to need some people who have some experience or like know a little bit what they're doing and how to account for shit, you know, like
No, I think
example,
you just, like I said, I think you just need to throw a wide enough net to get a big enough data set, and then obviously you'll need data analysts on the other side. But the main question is just getting the data or whatever. Once you got the data set, then you can just, you know, everybody can have a go. Like
yeah,
they
no, but
they
even then
now
before that, like setting up the survey, like that takes months. With just to make sure that the survey that you're making is good in the sense that it measures what it needs to measure,
Of
that it
course,
doesn't, and then
and
also,
to make it perfect. But again, like anything's better than nothing is basically my point. And it's like
but
nobody's
I don't
doing
think that.
anything, so you may as well.
Yeah, or the conclusions she calls,
My
or like
favorite thing,
solutions.
gender pay gap.
Yeah, gender pay gap. It's
Well,
really bizarre to me.
Well, we're not
I
talking
s-
about the pay gap, but I agree. But I agree that it's kind of conjecture, and Jordan Peterson does this a lot. It's a lot of conjecture, and it's a lot of like framing of what the roles should be and what they were in the past, and trying to apply that metric onto today's society. And I don't think you can like. There's no studies about like how it used to be and how it is today, and therefore it should follow. And Jordan Peterson makes a lot of those claims that it should follow without backing it up with anything.
No,
Yes,
there
and
are certain. That's what he also said. There are certain studies that indicate that. And to defend Jordan Peterson a little bit, he himself says also there are more to it than just biological stuff or something like that. There are certain cultural stuff that plays into it because you have you grew up and see women in certain jobs, and then you think maybe more about that or other interesting
oh shit,
things
I can't
because
stream in this channel. What a bullshit.
yeah. So he acknowledged that there are multiple factors. So and I think that many people don't see that. They only see certain videos
Yeah, I mean, most
without much
people
context.
remember the infamous like Kathy Newman interview.
I'm very well versed in Jordan Peterson, but I'm more interested in what you would like. What are the points that you want to make about this right now, instead of
I mean,
arguing about Jordan Peterson? It's not
no,
really
we
interesting.
weren't even arguing. I just was bringing up that video that I was annoyed about because I'm being.
Yeah, he was annoyed about the video because she, the YouTuber, and
She
she
basically
took.
just. Wait, I can post the two videos. Maybe the English subtitles work, but it's so funny because she
You mean
basically.
she took the arguments over without much
Yes, and she didn't like check the sources or like because the first thing I would do is like type the opposite in an incognito browser and see what comes up.
Yeah.
And there's so many explanations of why like this gender gap paradox is terrible. Even on the Wikipedia's page itself, it says that it's not like indicative of anything at all, and that there's severe problems with like the methods.
Yeah,
Uh,
but there's also no proof against it. As far
Well,
as
what
I
do you mean by
know.
proof? Like, obviously,
So,
men and women are
studies
different.
again.
Like, no one's gonna ever deny that
Yeah.
women are more maternal and do have more of a like
Yeah, but
internal.
then you would also agree that this has an effect on women when it comes to the joys of job.
Yeah, obviously.
Okay.
Does that mean
Yeah.
that women who do go into STEM or do go in choose those like paths? Does that mean like is it so ingrained that breaking out of it is a bad thing or something that should be discouraged?
No, nobody
Okay.
said something
Okay, so
about
what
that.
are you saying about that fact
No,
of
the
reality that we
point.
all agree on? What does that tell us about how women
Okay,
should?
the point. No, nobody talked what a woman should. Nobody. Jordan Peterson also don't.
Yes, he does. Oh, come on.
No,
Like
no.
He doesn't.
What's
He does.
He does all
Like,
the time.
No, he
Like,
talks
he
about
has
the
archetypal roles that he is trying to like push onto society.
No.
Oh,
What he
God.
talks about. Okay, can bring it up? So what he talks about, and that was we earlier was speaking of, is there are studies, and they may not be perfect. Yeah, I acknowledge that because I didn't see them, and there are more than enough stupid studies out to every topic. Yeah, be it left, be it right. And there are studies out that indicate that even in countries that tried everything that they could, as good as they could, to bring women into STEM and other areas, even then they made it more equality and everything, and it shows that there are more women going into the classic woman jobs than in other countries.
Is there a position here that I've missed, or is it just
Yeah,
weird
I'm trying to figure it
observations?
out. I'm trying to push him
I
to
keep hearing
actually.
the observation, but I haven't heard a position been.
Yeah,
set
that's what I'm
yet.
trying to
No,
tease out.
Yeah, but that's the position that
That's not a
it
position.
doesn't.
You gave data. That's an observation. What is your conclusion from that data that you're trying to draw?
Okay, my conclusion is, and that's basically what Jordan Peterson also said, is that yeah, there is probably some biological and truly some cultural thing that plays into that, that they choose what they choose. And it should be, and we shouldn't be more interested in pushing women into these fields. What we should do is equality of opportunity. So give both women and men, girls and boys, the chance to experience both.
I think you mischaracterized it. You mischaracterized it there. You said that we're pushing women into fields when in reality we're creating space so that they can enter the field by breaking down barriers.
It's pushing.
That's not the same
when
thing.
It's pushing in that sense that we have quotas and stuff like that. In case the EU has one quota, I'm not sure. When I'm correct, it was for the CEO position.
That's still not pushing women. No one is forcing those women to go into those jobs.
Yeah, not forcing, but we have so many programs that really hard try to focus and say to women, yeah, you should go into that
But that's
area.
the equality of opportunity. That's not the pushing. That's just creating the environment where there's an equal opportunity, which you agree with us on.
I would call it pushing more, or not really forcing, but pushing them in that direction because it's not opportunity of equality.
Hold on. That's a ridiculous conclusion. If I have 10 chairs at my party and I'm required to leave one open for you, no matter what, you have no obligation to show up and sit in the chair at the party.
Yeah, that's right.
You're not pushed to come there. But the nice thing is, if you do come and you want to, there will be a spot for you.
Falsus, don't argue like that. No. That's
Okay.
like it's not what's happening. There's not 10 seats and one is being held open in Germany. We have programs that are like, hey girls, let's go do some math. Let's do some engineering. Let's do some biological shit like that.
I didn't say a word about Germany.
Yeah, we are specifically talking about this. We don't have affirmative action.
Hang on, we
not
haven't
arguing
been
affirmative
specifically
action.
talking about Germany.
Nope. Yeah.
We've been talking about the gender.
And even if we are talking about Germany, what you are describing does not fit the conclusions you're drawing from it.
Okay, no, I mean you may be wrong. Pushing or it's not forcing by any means. Yeah, but we only push primarily women, or we give only these opportunities to women, and that's why I mean it's kind of pushing because we only give it to women. So we try to bring more of them in, and it doesn't really work.
So
and
that's not right, because we don't only push women like this. These STEM and MINT programs. I don't know how in the US, but in Germany, STEM and MINT, like the MINT program, I was in it, where you have like these like MINT
I hope
camps.
you're not going to do an anecdote of
Okay,
your own experience.
chill.
It's the same in the US, Washbar.
It is. Everyone who's interested has the same like opportunity to go into this program, and like to get like extra tutoring on maths and shit like that. Everyone has the same like assistance. You don't get pushed if you're a woman. The problem is like once you get to certain fields and it's like 90% men in one field. For the same applies to men as well. If there's a field with like 90% women, you're gonna be discouraged from going into it, and you'll have a harder time fitting in and stuff.
I
agree
would
with all that.
I would kind of agree in certain cases, but I would argue that it's for men more problematic than for women, overall speaking.
I'm gonna make an anecdote, but it's gonna be a good example to like illustrate this. So I'm studying aerospace engineering, and you need to make you have to have a practicum, like a internship in like a small company, and like learn welding and like all the basics, like work with a lathe and shit like that. And it's a 99% men environment. There's only a male toilet. There's only a female toilet in like the fucking administration zone and stuff like that. Sometimes there isn't even.
I know that argument.
And it's like, it is a very hostile environment for women. It is like you.
I wouldn't argue that. No, I wouldn't argue that the toilet situation is really violent.
That's not even like such a big part, but it's like it's gonna be used like as a reason to like dismiss you as a candidate. Let's say you want to like.
Because they are required, as far as I know, to some case that they have that. So there isn't a problem that the company or the people in the company wouldn't like to have women. It's more the problem that the law is requiring separate toilets for women and men. So it's more a law problem than really a company problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's not even like that's such a big part of it, but very often like these environments are like 100% men. For me personally, I was in a small company. There was no woman, and in the entire street is the same industry: metalworks, Schreinerei, and like woodworking.
Yeah, woodworking.
And like general construction, like everything, like 7 buildings. 99% men, and like the women that worked there were like administrating. So when you like call those men, like these companies are owned by men, and then you're like a woman and you have like an interview as a woman, you're almost certainly going to get fucking like dismissed just because
they
prejudice
understand the cost. Like say her salary is $40,000 a year, the company is going to accrue like $250,000 in costs of like making sure she has a bathroom that she can access alone. Like, and all the rules that they would have to implement to make sure that she's comfortable in that environment. Like, obviously, there is a barrier to entry that they're obviously going to dismiss her when. But if we dismissed those barriers and maybe the government pays for it or whatever, right? Like, maybe more women would be in these industries, and it wouldn't be like a natural thing or a biological thing or all those kind of things. Because
that's the point that Jordan Peterson make. That's the point that Jordan Peterson make. That in countries where they did all that and tried to make it as good as possible, that you see that there are more women still going into social jobs.
Let me be very clear. When you say that, that is not a point that he's trying to make. That is presenting data as truth. But that data itself, like the science behind it, is not 100%. Let me be very clear. When he says that, that is
the problem
a hypothesis presented as fact, which is...
No, but it's an argument. You're making the argument of status quos are good, and that those barriers to
I never
entry.
made that. No, I never made
But
that.
you kind of are.
You guys, no,
Sully,
you
don't.
didn't let me
Just-
make a point.
Sorry.
That was the problem. I wasn't finished
Don't
at the time.
push him, Sully. Like that's
when
not
you started.
beneficial
So-
to this discussion.
Yeah, because the point that I wanted to make is that we should make an equality of opportunity. We should give men and boys and women or girls the chance to look into every field. In my opinion, be it the social field and the mint field, everything. And then the children or young adults should make their own decision where they want to go.
That is exactly the thing I'm writing in my script right now for the response video and like the section of this whole thing. Jordan Peterson basically says that like even though these very fair countries have this, they have very different outcomes, which that is questionable.
Okay. I mean, the point is,
the thing is, no. Let me finish. Let me fucking finish.
Yeah.
I lost the fucking red tape. Fuck 1 second. Oh yes. So what he's basically saying is that there already is equality of opportunity, which it certainly isn't, because he tries to present this like hypothesis, this conjecture as truth, which just isn't the case. And it is the same for men as for women. If I, a 20-year-old male, wanted to go into a kindergarten for my free social year, I would have a very hard time finding a job. Not because there isn't a good
Dude, I know that because
variety
I
of
tried
jobs.
So I know it.
Yes, and that the problem is
well.
that is a field where it's 99% women.
Yeah.
Men are almost certainly going to be declined, especially if you're
Yeah.
tall or look funny or like have a beard or something. Very likely.
Yeah.
And the same thing. So, would you agree that there's less equality of opportunity for men in that case?
I would, generally speaking, say that when it comes to going into the opposite sex job fields, to say it simply, it's for men, generally speaking, harder because in men's cases,
So the answer is
it's
yes.
mostly it's most often something that has to do with children and stuff like that.
No, but it's not about the children. It's about the equality of opportunity. You were saying yes that men are
in my country hard to get into that jobs. But the difference is that my country
wait. No.
isn't the same
we have to nail this
with
down.
These countries.
You're saying yes to that
Sully, shut the fuck up. Sully, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, generally speaking, I would agree.
Would you agree with me to say that it is basically the same hardness for a male to get into kindergarten as for a woman to get into a like metalworking job or like
I would say it's for man harder. It's for man harder.
Why would you say that? Like,
because for a woman there is certain stigmata, but in my opinion, in many companies, they I spoke with many people from different jobs about stuff like that, and they mostly say they search for women everywhere they can, be it the IT branch. I know one guy, he's a team manager in a really high paying job. I think he gets in Europe, he gets something around 10k or 8k a month. That's really high pay in that area, and the entire company is searching for women that can program, and they don't find them. They find some women, but they don't have the qualification, because they need a qualification or they can't do the job. They have only low experience in programming in general and don't know enough stuff. And
Yeah,
also in when it comes to vehicle repair, because they search for people to find for car repairs and stuff, because they need them, because they have such a big amount of work to do, so they need
a big demand and very few workers. Yes, I know.
Yeah, so they search for women there too, and would take gladly every woman that comes in. And
so
for men, the difference is for women, okay, yeah, you have some a-holes or that make a dumb comment, or you have something like with the toilets. But for a man, when you try to work in a kindergarten, that's the first thing that comes to mind for many. Yeah, you're a pedophile. So, and I would say the stigma to being a pedophile is far greater than being in a tough situation because you
Definitely.
have some
Can I
colleagues
interrupt
that
you
are
real quick?
a-holes.
So
But it's mostly when it comes with work with children. When it comes to
this is such a weird connection, though, because you've drawn a connection to like a stigma about men working as teachers, and you said in some way that is a good argument why we shouldn't create space for women in STEM.
No. Why did you
Counselors,
take
no,
that?
stop, Schinken, stop.
Okay.
Don't ignore that right now. That was
Yeah,
a
I
gross
never say that.
mischaracterization. I would
Yeah.
go
Please
back to
clarify then, because it was a
Okay,
jump.
how
The
do you get
conversation
that
jumped really
idea?
quick.
Okay. How get you the idea that I think that we should create less jobs opportunities in mint areas for women?
Not men's areas, women.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
said woman.
That's stop.
Okay.
You mixed it up. He said mint, which is STEM in English.
Yeah.
When he said mint, he didn't mean men's, he meant STEM.
Yeah, can we let Washbar finish
Okay,
this line of questioning?
Okay. I don't know why you think that I am for that. No, I especially said that I'm for equality of opportunity. So give both the chance to make the best decision for their lives. Let them try out as many job areas, be it social, be it IT and technical stuff. For boys and girls, and give them both the best chance to make a choice. And yeah, I think you can argue we can try to help women in certain cases. I have no problem when we say that we make separated classes for women because it doesn't minimize it for the men. So now the women have their women classes for IT, and they feel more comfortable and can work and better study and stuff like that.
I don't know why you're going to IT,
do.
but I want to go back to the bigger
Yeah,
picture.
generally
Back to
speaking for tech area.
the problem with Jordan Peterson's arguing and with what this YouTuber is doing is that she's basically making a quasi argument against what we are currently doing, with the programs to help women get into STEM and that stuff, and basically declaring that evil. Because what the goal is to have
she didn't say that. She quoted basically that the studies show that even when you try as hard as you can, or as hard as some countries,
let's not go back to that gender gap paradox thing.
No. It's some.
Let's reframe the question.
It doesn't really help. Yeah, then reframe the question because it leads always to that. So.
Yeah, so the core of my problem with these two videos is the first one is fucking terrible, and honestly I think it's a fucking these two guys that have the YouTube channel of the first thing, I think they are testing YouTube and how to push right-wing shit, because it feels disingenuous, the whole things. I think it's a fucking inside job as well, because the arguments are so terrible and the research is absolutely horrendous. One of the papers they cited said that a percentage p-values are arbitrary and they don't matter and shit like that, and that was a joke at first. But
yeah, but I'd like to. Can I ask him a question? So your argument is, and correct me if I'm wrong, we tried it, and to get women in STEM and create the spaces for them and all this kind of stuff, but the studies show that they're just not, the uptake isn't there enough, and therefore we can drop these programs. Is that kind of your argument? We shouldn't invest more time or money or effort into doing this? Is that kind of your argument?
That's not part of my argument. I would rather say we should maybe look into that stuff. and some ideas or should we maybe drop because it's too.
Okay, so
too
which
costly.
ones would you drop? Because that's kind of a Weasley answer.
I would firstly drop the quotas for shit like CEO positions because I think it's sexist to some degree. And
so individual companies, like how would you enforce that? You can't like force individual companies.
I wouldn't enforce it. I would try to give man and woman the opportunity to learn as good as they can in the jobs that they want, and then they are on the job market. What you can do for a man and woman, I would do it for both, is maybe some teaching classes about how do you properly make how we said it in English. When you talk about money and stuff like that.
Yeah, asking for a raise, negotiating your
asking for a
contract.
raise,
Yeah,
negotiating
all that
contracts,
stuff,
because we know that so many women don't do that because we have the statistics for that. So I would say, do that, help them with that, because that can be a pretty important part when they try to get a job.
But would you say that those are male characteristics that they like? Even if we try and get them to learn that stuff, they won't. The uptake might not happen
They
there
are,
either.
and specifically, I'm pretty sure the YouTuber where we talked earlier, she said that there are studies where they show, and it was basically a change of wording it.
Das ist übrigens auch Teil von diesen schlechten Studien, die wirklich scheiße sind.
Wait. Yeah, I understand. So she quoted some studies, and maybe they're bad. I didn't look into them, but the other guy now said that they are one of these that are bad. But this study apparently showed that when you word it differently, then women are more willing to try it to negotiate. Negotiate their income.
Yeah.
So let me recap what he just said. First of all, there was a problem. So there's the studies didn't show that like this thing is biological. It just showed that if you reframe negotiating pay as asking for pay, more women will even do that, and that's only in a first year. So like the first job you ever take after you have a master's. So let's say you have a master's in engineering, you go to your first firm, you get a job, and then you still negotiate pay. About 48% of men did that. But the thing is, there's no evidence to suggest that that's like biological or sociological. So that's like, there's no conclusive evidence about that. And that's always the crux of the fucking issue. Because what's being done here, in both by Jordan Peterson, by this German YouTuber, and by the two German YouTubers who inspired the YouTuber we were talking about initially, is that these scientifically not cleared topics, where it's like basically hypothesis against hypothesis, and none can be very verifiably proven to be more solid.
Yeah, that's why you called it conjecture, right?
Yes, that's the thing. Conjecture is being presented as fact, and that's the problem, which is the crux of the issue. And I'm gonna come back to you, Schinken. I'm gonna DM you one A, so I have you in my DM list. And once I'm done with that video, probably in like 6 weeks or something, I'm gonna send it to you because I think I can turn you on that. Because I can.
No, it's maybe the studies are rubbish. That's a possibility because, unfortunately, it's so fucking easy to.
It's a very politically loaded topic. It's a very politically loaded topic,
and so it's so fucking easy, and
I have like a fucking exam season right now, so I'm not gonna be doing a lot of work on that video. But it's so fucking terrible. Like nowadays, you have like some YouTuber do like a video of something.
The first
like
one, you
actual,
mean? Because that of the woman wasn't that terrible.
Yeah, that of the woman.
At least 2/3 of it was pretty accurate, and the last third was about the studies and stuff like that.
Yeah, the thing is with the woman video, the explanation of the gender pay gap and like everything like unclean and cleaned gender pay gap is very factual. There's no like opinions in there. But when it comes to this gender gap paradox, she didn't do enough research. And like she didn't check the sources that the other video used. Ironically enough, she used the same fucking stock footage for the IT girl, which was hilarious to me. Like, hilarious. Yeah, but I'm definitely I'm coming back to you with that video because I think I can turn your opinion on that very much.
Coincidence because it's the first thing that comes up when you Google it. So.
I checked it. It wasn't. It's not from Shutterstock. It's she basically probably
Are you
checked
sure?
her sources.
I mean, you could post the
Yes, I'm pretty sure because I posted it in this channel, the sci-fi video. He puts like all the sources for all the pictures and everything in the bottom in the description.
I mean, that's at least
something
good.
Has like a Google Docs document with 50 fucking sources, which is hilarious because basically 40 or 50 are not even like part of the crux of the discussion, which is so funny to me.
Yeah, that's a bit overdoing it.
But I mean, even we had a very charitable interpretation of what Jordan Peterson said so far. I mean, the guy is basically a nutcase now. He's gone off the deep end.
And one of the things, like just to build on that, like he'll make no prescriptive arguments. So he'll bring up stats and data and all these things about women and men in the workplace and all the programs that we have in place and how they're not working and all that kind of stuff. But he has no prescriptions and therefore, what should we do moving forward? Should we axe the programs, or are they like beneficial for society? He'll never make those statements, and you aren't either.
Why not just keep it neutral since you don't know? Since you said there's not enough data.
That would be my argument. Like I'm not making moral claims.
I remember that he said about that there are not enough data, and he also said that there are probably cultural factors that play into it to some degree and stuff like that.
Do you know the YouTuber Unicat?
So I wouldn't say that he totally frames it like that, but yeah, he never really said what you could do. That's something true. What we could do instead. I mean, as I say, instead, I'm against quotas and shit like that because I think they're inherent sexist when you have a quota for something, and the quotas are only for the CEO position. And
or the force.
Would you apply that? Can I ask you? Would you apply that to like racial kind of like quotas as well? Would you say that those?
Yeah, I would generally
across
speaking
the board
say there shouldn't be any quotas for any groups to go into certain areas.
Okay, so even if there's not an equality of outcomes yet, but they're working towards it, you would still say, even though there's not those opportunities yet, and we're working towards
it, we don't talk
you're
about
fine with that.
equality of outcome because that's what I don't want. I want equality of opportunity.
Yeah, so sorry, that's what I meant to say. I apologize. So even though there's not the equality of opportunity yet for racial groups, and I'm not saying today, I'm saying in the past that was true.
Okay.
You would agree with that.
Would you agree to it? Okay, we're still a racist country. So we should be okay with more racists to fight the other racists. It's basically what you're arguing for.
No, I'm asking you. Like, would you say that?
That's how I see
should
it.
They leave that?
You try to fight sexism with sexism, and I don't see when we come to women. So, and I don't see how that works. And the same goes for, oh yeah, we need certain minorities in these jobs. I mean, I'm for that companies hire people of all ethnicities and stuff like that.
But if you don't enforce it in any way, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, because are you sure that you want to work in a company that only does it because it is enforced? In my opinion, no.
Yeah, but we talked about earlier, if you leave that 12th chair open, it doesn't mean that someone has to take the chair, but we're just leaving it open if they want to take it, right?
You will take the chair because companies will make it so that you believe them. Oh yeah, everything is equality. Dude,
Shut the fuck up. Let me just human both of your positions, okay?
Wait. Let me finish, dude. I can't talk for myself. So in my last company, the woman that was in charge of my team made
You worked
all
for a
these. Oh
woman?
yeah, she's.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that must have been terrible.
No, why? I mean, she was an a-hole, but it doesn't have anything to do that she's a woman. She made us, everything is fine because we had an argument about additions for my
Maybe he's
contracts.
sexist.
And she said, yeah, everything is fine. It's okay that we talk about it. And I got fired for it, basically. So companies try to
Maybe
look
it
good
was
from the
because she was a
outside.
woman.
No, not
Are you
she,
sure?
You can't
Are
was
use
you
not
your
a
sure?
character
firing
and
in
not
a
that
Are
she's a
you
specific
big
anecdote
giant.
to say this.
sure?
You can apply this across the
Can
board. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I
So
Are
be very
you
every
sure?
every company tries to look good from the outside. So you try to apply on a job, and the company looks good from the outside. You go in there, and then it's a horrible place to work. That's one of the reasons. The other reason is everybody else, and we know that it's true, will see you as a quota guy, be it a woman or be it a guy as a not
What
majority,
if it
but
is neither?
majority, blah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
you know that people will see that differently. Especially.
No.
Oh yeah, they will.
I
I don't know what you're
disagree.
saying right now. Like I'm
no
not
idea.
following you at all.
It's okay. It's okay. You don't need
Like I
to.
work at
I
a
know.
company that is mostly like the CIO, CEO, like everyone is like dominated by men, but there is a DEI group that is
That
trying to get women.
maybe-
They post those courses. They want
that
women to
may be
apply.
true. That may be true in the US. I agree that is for CEO position even in the EU it's the same. But when you look in the mid level in team manager and stuff like that, we have a bunch of women in that section. We have maybe it's different in the US, but in my country, in Austria, we have so many women in a team manager position and stuff like that.
Why is that a
Even in the
problem?
last company where I
We have that
worked,
here too.
next to next
in the
That's
last
not an
company
issue.
that I
Yes or
worked,
no? We
even
do
the
not
CEO
have
was
that.
a woman.
No, I'm from the country
Not
next
because
to
of a
country.
quota. Not because of a quota.
I'm from a next to
The interesting
country,
part where
and we
more
do not.
women were
We do not.
applying for the job.
There's a difference between the quotas for companies listed on the fucking stock exchange, which are giant, and like some 500 people company or like 300 employee company or 20 employee company.
It was probably around 1,000.
Yeah, like
That is too
is it
small.
stock traded
That
or is it
is
privately owned?
small.
Like with
I
Take the shit out of
give me a
law.
second.
probably privately owned, because these quotas we have are only for like stock traded companies, and I think it's very reasonable and very good
I
to
don't
have.
see why it should be why that should be the case.
Because
weird.
if you have
And why are you only asking for them in CEO position? I mean, which woman looks? Oh, which is the CEO? Do you want to work for the company? Nobody looks for the CEO position.
Schinken, that's a fucking straw man. We don't have a quota for CEO positions. We have a quota for company boards. We have a quota for company boards here in Germany for only stock market traded companies. Which means that if your company is so giant that people wager their money on whether you succeed or not succeed, and the people overseeing that shit should be representing like even like slightly, because the quotas we have are not like you should be exactly like the population. It's like 30-80 is the minimum, which is like you need to have like 30% of the board be like female, which is laughable. We have 55% females in Germany.
Why?
Yeah, it's in Vorstandstagen.
Yeah, but
when you mean that.
Would you agree that it is good that you have people like deciding very important things for a lot of people to be not solely one group? Because they could.
So you would argue that a man couldn't.
Oh, okay. That's just. I'm sorry.
Educate for women.
He's not though. Like he's totally correct. But like people who represent large groups of other people should like
look like and represent those people, right? Like we shouldn't all just have like 90% men in like politics, right? Because like these people don't represent the interests of every single group if they're all just one type of person.
In companies, what people are they representing besides themselves? They are the board. They are the stockholders. They're not supposed to represent America. That makes
But they
no
don't just
sense.
represent their interests; they represent the company's interests, and the company's interests are aligned with so many other interests. Like
The company's interest has nothing to do with like public people. It has to do with
it
like
absolutely
how much money it's
does.
It
making
does.
and
Obviously,
stuff
they
like
have
that.
to. They
All right,
make
A
so
publicly
like
traded company
more than
needs
50%
public
of
image.
women
Yeah,
are the buying majority in households. We know this to be
it
a
has.
fact of reality. Like even though the men bring up more money
gonna
home,
go.
the
Have a
women
nice
have the purchasing
sleep.
power.
I'm gonna go. Have a
Okay,
nice
so
night, guys. So
board
all right.
members
Have a
are
good one. Be safe.
All right.
okay. So board
my video.
members are required by law to have like one woman on it, right? So
No, it's a certain amount
no,
of
I'm
quota.
talking about here. Yeah, it's here in California.
Okay.
It's required by law to have like at least one or two women in it, if I'm not mistaken. So if that board is made up with that one woman and that one woman is making poor decisions, is she automatically like does that one woman automatically like represent women in America that y'all say she's supposed to represent?
If she's doing her
Or
job poorly, then no, obviously.
okay, so why would you just want a woman? Why wouldn't you just want the best person for that job?
But you're assuming that the woman who is getting into that position is going to be like the reason these programs exist is to stop the monopoly of men who automatically get inherited into these positions. And there are a lot of women who can do these positions well. If you want to look at women who perform poorly in these positions, it happens, obviously. But
when we
it
go
does
by
with
this,
men as well.
okay, when we go by
What
statistics,
is his argument?
wait. When we go by statistics, it's pretty simple. You have 100 men that apply for a job, and you have 30 women. Which group do you think has more qualified people in them?
I guess it depends on the job and who's trained. That's what a silly example.
Yeah,
You have even next to no details.
It would be
For all I know, it's a nursing program, and only the 30 women are trained.
Exactly. Yeah, you can flip it.
Yeah, no. We say both. We say they have all some job experience in that area.
Just
they
state
all
your
have,
position. We don't need another like vague analogy or like 15.
He doesn't state positions.
What's the position?
The position is there.
I've sat here for an hour while you and the other guy talked, and like there's still been like maybe a hair of a position. And I shut the fuck up the one time I jumped in because you guys asked me, and I wasn't wrong that time either. State a fucking position.
You're talking, so I cannot make the position. The position is.
You can make a position. You've had an hour to do it, so don't sit here and bitch about me talking over you for the 2 minutes that I've decided to talk.
It's been like 2 hours. Still hasn't made a position.
Yeah. Statistically speaking, it's more likely that you have more qualified men to apply for the job.
So what? What's the conclusion? So what job?
Is there?
What do you want to do with the information?
And therefore,
conclusion
you finish
is
that
that
statement.
you are more likely to find a man that has the qualification for that job than a woman.
So what do you want to do? Okay, implement. Okay, take that now. Implement it. What do you want to do with it?
A woman with, that has lesser qualities for the job than a man.
And therefore...
So what are you saying we should do?
Repeal the 19th Amendment. I agree with him.
I hear your information. Now tell us what
he doesn't want to say it. I don't know why he doesn't just bite the
I'm saying it, bro. Look, I'm going to tell you right now. Just repeal the 19th, including trans women.
I don't know what the 19th is. So
the 19th Amendment is what gives women the ability to vote.
I never said.
But, I mean, you're trolling, but you're also right. Like that, I think that is his position, and he doesn't want to come out and say it.
Guys.
Yeah.
I'm not trolling.
You imply so many stuff that I don't say. I only say.
No, but we have to intuit what you're saying because you're not saying anything.
I say
that's the
I
problem.
said all
we
the
have
things
to
that you
intuit
wanted.
it.
I made points.
You don't have to intuit
It's not a point. That's not a point. You can go, well, you know, I think there's more qualified men than women. So the fuck what? What do you want me to do with that information? I think golden doodles are generally better natured dogs than chihuahuas. Who fucking cares, Fosters?
Actually, no, hang on. That might be a good conversation. What do you guys think about shit bulls? Should they be legal?
You said pit bulls?
Shit bulls. I said shit bulls, not pit bulls.
What are
What's a
shitballs?
shit bulls?
It's just a pit. It's just a derogatory name for pitbull.
Okay.
If I say to you, I prefer big titty goth chicks to
Yeah,
cheerleaders,
I don't think people
Here's the
can be
thing.
responsible
That might
for
mean you might say, "Hey, Flossers, does that mean you're simply attracted to them and you want to surround yourself with more of them, or do you want to genocide all the cheerleaders?" Like, there's just a huge gap between like what you could do
One
with
of them
that
is really
information.
funny though. One of them is really
Yeah,
really
guys,
funny.
you're not really interested in a real conversation. It's okay when you're
What do you
not.
mean we're not interested? We've sat here
We've
quietly
been
and let
trying
you
to.
talk for
I've
2
tried
hours.
to
Dude,
tease it out of you
because
for
I
2
talked,
hours.
yeah,
Come
because
on.
I talked with the other
we're
guy,
moving
and
on.
he means something specifically.
Yeah, his
What you
position is
didn't
clear,
get
bro.
because we both speak German, we both
No,
know
I got it.
what we're
I got it.
talking
I don't
about.
think you got that I got it, but that's okay too. I've just been chasing a point, and I'm not the only one that feels this way. Literally every
problem
other
is-
person in here feels
dude,
this way.
why
I don't feel
isn't
that
it a
way. I think
point
that you
when
chasing
I
a point is the wrong position to take.
Flaming you motherfucker.
What?
What is it not a point when I say that I'm for equality of opportunity and that I'm for that women, girls and boys should have a good opportunity to experience all fields before they choose one field that they want to that they really want to go into.
Yeah, we all agree
And
with that.
so that they
Now,
have
as
a
much as you
chance-
say that, as much as you say that, the positions that you hold go against that.
That they have the best information to what choose for themselves, so that they make the best decision for the future.
Are you
job.
interested in talking about the barriers to entry, though?
I also, I did that. I said that I'm okay with when we make separate classes for women when it comes for IT studies and stuff like that. When then they feel more safe because they didn't get the boy didn't look bad on them. So, oh yeah, I would like to date her, and she's
But
staring.
you argued earlier that you wouldn't want
Societal
quotas,
issue.
and you wouldn't
No,
want
I'm
like
against
any kind of
quotas, but
program.
it's different. I'm
You can
against
actually-
certain
hang on.
ideas
There
of
are-
programs. When you
there's a
have
position
a
here that you can take.
when you have a program and it's only for women, then I find it bad. It should be for men and women.
But
So when you have a
nixing
program,
out the solution to the problem that you're bringing up at the same time. You understand, like
don't
here's
see
a
it.
problem where
Wait,
there's
wait,
a barrier to
I-
entry of opportunity, and you are not going to support any opportunity to
I
like
also
figure
There's
out
a
a way to.
solution. No. There is a solution to the problem that has nothing to do with the barrier of opportunity, right? You creating a program specifically for one class of people is going to be problematic for literally everyone else, and you don't have to go that route. Like you could just be like, hey, yeah, this is a societal issue, and you have to focus on the idea of acceptance overall as an overarching thing, rather than trying to create this like weird protected class, because that just kind of fucks everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
How
if
do
you,
what I mean.
one
How do
white
you
man
how do you start to like get a protected class without like literally like separating like, okay, these are things that you cannot do anymore, like these are things that are unacceptable, these like
That's one of
that's
that.
how you
If-
start
if-
to
if
build
you're
those
having-
things out, right?
Yeah, if you're having a protected class by like literally you're creating a protected class by creating something that only a certain amount of people have access to, and that is
Well,
it
when you
can be
say,
bad.
like-
But you gotta be careful with it, because that's like the very beginning of creating like a crazy protected class.
When you say that we have to carve out like a certain acceptance
you-
for these people rather than just like do this weird protected class, carving out that acceptance is just creating a like protected class. When you go out of your way to
No, what
Oh,
we
I think it
try
is. I agree
no,
with that.
It really
no,
isn't.
because
You're literally putting
okay,
up
what we
fences.
talk about is
I agree with you, Al.
That's just a brain dead conversation, bro. Like these. Oh my god, these niggas are annoying. Hans in this one. Who's really in this one? I was looking for like it's one called Black Thoughts. I think they got rid of it on here. Hello debate. Yeah, it's not on here right now. These niggas so stupid.
side, but the
no,
point that you're
we're not
making
on that
is
side. You
No,
think
you're
on that
confusing my
side?
point, or you're
Yeah.
misunderstanding
Oh,
it. 'Cause
I might be, maybe.
Because I said nothing about like eking out an idea of like not allowing women to do something, or not allowing certain people to do things that are like.
But like
the
when
idea.
you're saying like
Uh-huh.
because you're talking about like you carving out the space for acceptance would be like
Socially.
in my idea would be like
It's the idea that
necessarily
you're trying to
like
stop people from, like shitting on somebody just because there's somebody like trying to go into
yeah, but
a
then
kind
you
of
are kind
there's
of
certain
creating
things
the
that
protected class, right?
Look, there's
Well, it's
certain
just the
No.
barriers to
No.
entry. Like we talked about earlier about like
A
if
protected
you're
class
in
is something that's accepted legally, by the way. Like it's not.
like he brought up an
something-
example of like where men are in the 99 percentile of that space and there's no women's bathrooms.
Suicides? Are we?
And
Oh.
And yeah, I can agree when you say that the state.
Wait, you're talking about suicides? What's going on here, bro?
No,
Hang on a
nobody's
second.
talked about suicide.
You talked about the 99th percentile, and my mind immediately went to men kill themselves 99% of the time.
Oh no,
That's
No,
crazy.
we talked about
No, we were talking
what
about
the fuck?
We talked about toilets, and that's why I cannot have a conversation with you guys, because every time you completely don't listen until something else.
But that was your.
Just start absorbing the lightning and going full fucking robot, man.
I can't wait. It's all
I don't read nerd books. I read real books like Tom Clancy. Okay.
Okay, there's a ton of novels based in the Warhammer universe, and then some of the.
I can't tell you what the ruling on that is.
Like,
because there's
we is trying to make a parody of that song.
But like, I don't know. If someone made a song about me now when I like that person, I would really, I don't know. I would really appreciate that. That would be precious to me.
Even if
But,
it is amateurish, right? There would still be like,
yeah.
God damn, this is
Like even
bad,
if it's
but
just like a
adorable,
friendly
you know?
thing, like when you wrote like bars. Remember? Like
Yeah.
I remember that because.
And if they're wearing an outfit that shows off their cleavage one day, I'm going to get the idea, hey, you want people to look there. You're trying to get people to look at you. So, it's one thing is doing it at a beach, right? You're dressed up in a swimsuit. That's the appropriate occasion. But if you're doing it on a live stream, I know exactly what you're looking for, and you're looking for views. So that's basically my point.
To be fair, I don't really follow these like alt-right women like Southern is apparently like Fed, you can always say Fed, no true Scotsman, all that shit, but I don't really follow them, so to be honest, I cannot really comment
Mm-hmm.
on what they're up for.
I mean,
think
she's
his
another
husband is a pretty cool
example
guy.
of maybe, but yeah, Lauren is another example of someone who's, advertising all of that and under the guise of traditional, but you look at their history, how many men they've dated and all their habits, everything is liberal about it. I don't see anything conservative besides, oh, look at me holding a gun. Even guns aren't conservative, right? Many left wingers
I disagree with that.
Yeah, so
Well,
I don't
maybe
know.
where you come from, I don't know about that, but like in America, that's a gun country right there. Even
It is.
Europe,
Even
used to be
leftists
much
like
more
to find.
gun free with gun rights. They had literally militias. Like in my country, they had like national militias.
We
Like,
did here
okay, you
too.
own a gun, and when those Ruskies attack, then you fucking shoot them with your own gun.
Yeah, we have a lot of
Like, sure, a woman with a gun, like posing with titties out, that's a different, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that gun girl, fucking Caitlyn Bennett.
Yeah, I mean, this is happening to our culture now, and like India's culture is shifting a lot. And it's not immigrants. At the end of the day, it's modernization. And what's happening is the North Indian film industry. Fortunately, it hasn't gone to the South Indian industry that managed to retain the culture, but the North Indian one is catering to an international audience now.
You're boring
So,
as shit,
yeah,
bitch.
cool story. So anyway, the North Indian film industry, they basically are trying to export their films. I mean, it's on Netflix now, and there's like kissing now. There are actors who once said, "I'll never kiss on the lips on screen." Now they're kissing, right? That is a big, that's a big thing. And now they're like even scenes that are, different, right? Like it's obviously not as explicit as Hollywood still, but it's getting there. Like there's sex scenes, but it's implied mostly. It's like Titanic level sex scene. And then it's getting worse. And the culture there is still, it's if you kiss in public, it's seen as, wow, this person has no shame. So there's still that attitude. You see it in most of Asia. Like if you kiss in public, like no one's gonna beat you up over it, but they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, these people, they have no consideration for everyone else around them. That attitude versus say in Europe, right, which is more liberal, you can kiss in public, right? And no one's gonna bat an eye. They'll be like, okay, whatever. You could probably even do it in school. It's very, liberal.
I wanted to mention one thing. I think it should be pretty obvious that in the West, like people who oppose migration don't just focus on migration. And if somebody focused on migration, then that's them just simply being.
Do board, Instagram stories, Facebook posts, or whatever. It gives you the templates for all of that.
Damn.
So it's great.
I fucking bookmark that shit.
Yeah. You'll like it. It's great. It's very user friendly.
Terrible, especially the longer he went on in war and things like that.
Took his country out of poverty.
I mean, he was fighting a full-on war.
Yeah, he got his country.
Pipeline, but they will put the 5G network through Canada.
A lot of units that are way more.
He made a very, very tongue-in-cheek penis joke out of it.
My brigade is very.
His
Also,
unit
look
is
at
small.
guest
I
text,
did
right?
it again.
Great. Okay.
Especially if they kind of mutilate themselves, right? There's just the disruption to a degree, that you ought to have had when you had testicles of some sort. That's what I'm
But
saying. Like there's
not-
a pause of some sort.
Yeah, not all people mutilate themselves. Like,
Yeah,
however you
I'm
wanna put it.
not saying other people. That's why I was hyper specific as what I was talking about.
Well, I would like to know, like, what's the range of automutilation that you're saying? Because I don't think that happens a lot. Or
I'm not saying whether it happens a lot or not. I'm just saying what the case is when somebody does it.
oh, I
Yeah.
I guess, but if it doesn't happen a lot, I don't know how is it useful.
It's useful because to a degree, like we were talking about, it's kind of being advertised is somewhat of an overstatement, I'd say, but it's somewhat being like talked about and influenced like on children, and that's what we were just discussing about. Not saying I particularly agree with it, but just an observation.
Do you think that being transgender is being imposed in children?
Yes.
No, I mean,
Right.
like I said, I'm not saying I believe that. Just an observation. I observed that. I'm not saying like I believe it or say it's good or bad.
Yeah, but like if you observe it, like you're saying that it is happening.
Well, yeah,
there's a lot
sure.
of push in the media.
Sure, from my experience, but I'm not gonna make a universal statement, right?
No, it's okay. Like I'm just asking, like if you're saying if you're observing it, I wanted to confirm. It's like, oh yeah, you
Yeah,
you
sure.
think it's happening. Okay.
Yeah, of course. And in my observation, especially in Canada, knowing that Canada's very liberal, so. But yeah, that's definitely going on, at least in my space of thought. But I don't know that whole like aspect of transitioning. It just is very, very strange. It's very strange.
Why is it strange?
It's only strange because it's new. Like, doesn't mean just because something's strange doesn't mean it's wrong or bad. It's just strange because it hasn't been done much research into it.
I mean, yeah, like I believe I said that twice previously. Like the concept is just so foreign to me. Like, removing your genders and trying to go the opposite sex. It just sounds so strange, man.
So so about the removing of genitals, a lot of people don't do it. Just for you, like for you to know, is like a lot of trans people don't ever do it. Be it for they don't feel comfortable doing it, or be it for they don't have the money to do it because it's actually really expensive to do that. So
yeah, I'll go. Sorry, go on.
So yeah, it's like I think you find it weird because you've not looked too much into it, but I assure you, if you do research and like read a lot about the topic and about like what doctors think and what they do, you'll find it like it's not that crazy. It's just like pretty standard medical things.
I think you're making implications that
implications and assumptions that haven't really been demonstrating through our conversation.
So yeah, but I'll be happy to elaborate. Don't worry. Like,
No,
what do
yeah,
you
sure.
think? What do you think it's not being like? What's being implied?
No, you're being implied that I haven't done my research, and you're also okay. What are you gonna say?
Oh no, sorry, I
You're
didn't
also
mean to
implying
imply that.
it's
Like,
okay.
I wanted to say this like maybe it's I wanted to throw the theory that maybe it's something of exposure. It's like maybe if you go into it a lot more, you'll feel more comfortable. If you already did it and believe you've done enough, well, maybe that's not an option now.
No, yeah, fair enough, but I just think merely doing research on a specific topic doesn't kind of like necessitate one being comfortable with this specific case going on. Like the whole thought of individuals kind of transitioning, even though it doesn't happen a lot. I'm aware it doesn't happen a lot. Majority of individuals are
Yeah.
non-binary, are non-binary, and they identify as trans. I'm aware that they don't go through the procedure, but I'm just saying that even though it's a small substrata of people, right? And I respect how you're coming across thus far. I'm saying even though it's a small substrata of people, it's still ridiculous to me that this still happens in spite of the case. It just sounds so foreign. So that's kind of like how I feel, at least.
And why do you feel like it's foreign? Like, which aspect do you think it's not not comfortable?
No, yeah, sure. I'm not particularly saying it's coherent of some sort, but definitely a cultural upbringing, definitely. And it's not that easy to negate one's cultural upbringing of some sort, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That's
but
the one.
so the thing is like the problem with the cultural upbringing argument is like if it wasn't common before and it's being common now, where did it came from? So you cannot say that trans people are educating children to be trans because how were the like it goes to a patient zero type of state. Who was the first trans people that educated others? You get me?
Yeah,
So
but you're not strawmanning, are you?
no. I'm trying to like say that
Okay.
like what's causing your in your perception what's causing people to like be
Mhm.
more trans in that sense.
In my perception, was causing individuals to be more trans.
Yeah, more than before at
um,
least.
no, yeah.
Yo, good shit with that one, yo. Good shit. Clap it up for this guy. Good shit. Good shit. Good shit.
Necessarily saying that a majority of people are being like pushed to do this, perhaps. I'm just saying transness is somewhat being pushed to a degree. Because, well, not pushed, but it's being influenced to a
Well,
degree for individuals
that,
to identify as such because they want to fall into a certain umbrella of some sort. Not specifically transitioning, though.
so
Transitioning, I just articulated that I find it ridiculous. But that's a distinct issue.
yeah, so like what how I would phrase it would not be that it's push, is that it's being accepted more. So
Yeah.
same with like gay people. Gay people like that they always existed, just that they were suppressed. Same as trans people. Trans people were suppressed throughout history, and that's why you didn't hear about them. But they did exist. Like the Stonewall riots are really famous in the 80s. There were a lot of trans women that were fighting against the police because of a raid in a gay club. And
Yeah, but
yeah,
the
sorry.
problem nowadays is that it's not just accepted, it is considered to be cool, while it is not.
You don't
What
think it's
do you
cool? That's
mean?
your subjective opinion.
What do you
No,
what do
it's
you
not
mean when you say it's like it's considered to be cool? Like yeah,
It's
it
it's con- I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
do you
considered
read
trendy, if you
newspaper?
don't mind.
I
Well, I
mean,
was talking.
Not really.
I was talking about this earlier. Like it's considered trendy now because
No,
when
I
there was
don't
a lot.
think so.
No, it's not.
Okay, so
It's not considered
Yes,
trendy.
it is.
So wait. So
Hope,
you think?
homophobia is
Hear me
more
out. Hear
around
me
than
out. Hear
ever.
me out.
Wait,
Please.
but
Homophobia is
The
more
reason why
prevalent
I
than
think
ever.
it's considered trendy is because people want to be different, okay? You see a lot of people now coming out as gay, coming out as able or disabled, and coming out as a slew of different illnesses. It's not cool to be transgender, okay? It's a choice because you have body dysmorphia and you're not happy with yourself. Therefore, you go to lengths to change your body.
Queer liberal.
That's why
So it's
it's
not a trend. So
Trying to make
you're kind of
everybody
Hold on, I
gay.
want to respond to that.
Make
It's
it. No,
not a
I'm
trend.
responding
You
to
kind of
you right now,
contradicted
boy.
yourself.
You Trent, you shut your whore mouth.
I would
boy.
like to respond
I'm tired
after
of these
you.
homosexuals
Go
trying
ahead.
to make their
I'll
kids
concede
gay.
to you, sir.
I'm tired of them coming to my school trying to fiddle with them kids. Keep away
Shut
from
up,
them
man.
kids. I don't
Shut up.
care who
What
got
the
that
fuck?
AIDS ring or
No,
who that
that's
AIDS ring.
Yeah,
He's
okay, yeah, let me
trolling. He's
respond,
trolling.
please. I'd like to go next.
Communist China, where you
This
belong.
guy's a nut job. Okay.
Stinky
So
butt.
there's
my
no
God.
sir. Let me respond to both.
Now you may
So,
respond.
sir, I'll respond to the gentleman first, and then the woman. Thank you very much, sir. So, sir, you're just incorrect. There's nothing that backs up anything that you said, sir. And then, ma'am, to respond to your claim that it is a trend, no, and also you kind of contradicted yourself. You're saying it's a trend, but also a result of mental illness. So it can't be both. So it is a result of the mental illness part. It's
I
not a
am
trend.
the ultimate authority on what is
Okay,
right and
so
wrong.
I'm not saying
I'm
I'm not saying it's a trend for the fact that it's gonna come and go, right? Or I'm saying it's trendy, as in it's been more publicized than anything else has been in these last 5 years. I would say I mean I'm pretty sure a majority of people can say they don't even know what a gay
This
person was
woman
when
is
they're around 12 years old.
incorrect in her
Do you
opinion.
get what I mean?
ma'am, just because
Okay.
something's publicized doesn't make it a trend.
I would
This
marry
is
this
like
woman's
this is
voice
the
and her good
transgender
opinion.
argument, and wait, this is just about visibility. You're just saying that because people are not hiding it anymore, it's becoming trend. It's not that they are convinced to join. You're not convinced to be gay or to
They
be
are.
trans.
They are, though.
Is
That's
that
what
you
don't
are, and now you don't hide. What you have a problem with is people expressing it and not being hidden
you
as they
shut your
were.
whole mouth, boy. You don't know
Wait,
nothing.
I never
Talking
said
about
I
nothing
don't
like no
agree
type
with
of
that.
liberal
If
man.
people
You better
are
get on to
gay,
where you're gonna
whatever,
get.
that's something that they can figure out because they're their own
Yeah.
person. But I'm
That's
saying
they
the
figuring it
entire
out.
idea of being like a part of the LGBTQ as being gay, trans, or any of that sort
Why
is
do y'all
being
need
more
so many
popularized than it
letters to
has been
say you
at any
take my
time that I'm
ass?
pretty
That's
sure
what I
most
want to
people
know.
in the West
No,
can
you know what I
reaccount
mean?
for. And
Why
that
do you
it's
need
more
so
or
many
less
letters to say that you got AIDS?
When you say being
Okay.
popularized, is that
all you need is
people
HIV.
are encouraged to not hide. That's what it really means.
Yeah, but you
The
can
thing
always
is, like,
see 'em
those
'cause they
people
got
have
AIDS
always
and they walking
existed,
like
have
they gonna
always
die
been
'cause
there.
they got
It's
AIDS.
just
Of
that
course.
now
Homosexuality
there are
causes AIDS.
people like that
69.9%
openly gay
AIDS
are saying, "Hey,
are
you
transmitted
don't
by
need to
homosexuals.
hide. It's okay to be gay." That's everything that's happening.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
is
that
everything
now
that's
it's
happening. No,
like
visible.
to
very
add
well,
on
very,
to
very
that
well said.
statement.
You're right. That is what's going on.
Yeah, I would like to
What
add on
you're
to
right.
his statement and continue by saying that there are also, so yeah, it's true. There's people coming out gay or trans because there's more liberty to do so. And also there are people that are not gay or trans that are saying that they are because they're trying to figure themselves out. So because there's more liberty, yes, more people are coming out and more people are willing to try it on to see if that's for them. And so what possibly will happen is the people that we see coming out will authentically be trans or they won't. They'll change their mind. So either way, either scenario, both are we see more of both because the liberty has been increased, and that's
Yeah, so you pretty
good.
much summed up what I actually think. Oh yeah, so I definitely agree with what you said. Yeah.
So,
Well,
okay, do you think? Okay, let's.
trans people have definitely always existed. But like I said previously 3 times, I just find the whole aspect of injecting synthetic estrogen into one's body is ridiculous. Not saying it's bad or good.
No, but why is it ridiculous? Like, we do that with a lot of medicine. Like, vaccines are literally dead viruses sometimes, just so your body can generate the antibodies to fight it.
But
that sounds ridiculous.
That's way
I think
different.
you're making, I think you're making a
biology using
you're making a
artificial
false
hormones.
equivalency, man. I don't think you're
But,
understanding what you're really talking
why
about.
is it like? Why is it a false
Oh,
equivalent?
wait, by the way, did you mute the other guy? The other dude's just over talking.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I muted the other guy. Don't worry about
Oh,
it.
okay, hold on. Let me mute him because I don't want to disrupt the conversation.
I mean, do you ever read on a newspaper, oh, I got cancer, I'm having chemo, it's so cool? I mean, you do not, obviously, okay? While with gender dysphoria, oh, I'm non-binary, I'm so proud of it. I mean, it's crazy. You are getting hormone treatment, you are cutting your penis off, it's a disease, and there's nothing wrong about it, but
that's
it's
what I'm
not
saying.
cool.
I find that like just ridiculous to me internally. I'm not saying I have a coherent reason per se. It just like subconsciously in my mind, I just feel it's very uncomfortable.
So
Just
like
whole thought.
my recommendation would be actually try to go inside your own logic. It's like, why do I feel uncomfortable by this? If you actually reach the real reason, you might actually be able to solve the contradiction that you yourself are feeling.
What would be the contradiction?
What's the contradiction?
I don't
Because
know. Like only
I
he
hadn't had the
knows.
time to really address what I wanted to address, but I just don't understand what the contradiction that I'm making is, and I can address that.
No, he was talking to me.
Oh, the one he
yeah.
said the contradiction was Soshi Dragon. Like I was talking about immorality.
Yeah, he was talking to me.
The contradiction was claiming that it was both a trend and a result of mental illness. It's not both. It can't be both.
That's what.
It's a trend to have a mental illness.
You cannot have a mental illness
mental
by choosing
Oh
to
my
have
God,
one.
I'm not saying that you're
You're not
choosing to have a
understanding
mental
what she's
illness. I'm saying
saying.
you choose to identify to have a mental illness. So you
Okay,
can say
I think,
special.
look,
Okay,
I
two
think
things.
the
Two
issue
things
is
on
just
that.
with kids. No, excuse, just one sec. I mean, the issue is obviously with the young kids, because if you are over 18, I mean, do whatever you want, and you are quite sure about your rationality. But if you are very young, you can be influenced by what's around you, by the environment. And there's clearly this trendy thing about this stuff. Nobody's saying that they must hide like before or stuff like that, but it's been pushed quite a bit. Come on.
Like
No, it hasn't.
Like I don't. Okay, so two things. First, like you don't
Has
need to
not
have
been pushed.
gender. Wait,
It
wait.
literally has been
Two
pushed.
things. You don't need gender dysphoria to be trans. That's not a thing. Like that was a thing previously, but it's not like a requirement anymore. And second, like for children to transition, like at least like medically, a lot of steps have to go first. Like they have to in most places that it's allowed, like you have to actually see a doctor and prove like constantly that you do want to transition, and like it's not like a
And
thing. It's
who's
like,
gonna be the doctor who's taking care of those issues?
so
Somebody who is really concerned about the gay
Doctor Who
people
would be.
rights and trans people rights and stuff.
Yep.
And
No,
doctor
like-
is biased.
So you're saying that like doctors will prescribe you bad things just because they have ideology or what? Like what do you
No,
mean?
they are
racist,
they are
they'll
biased
kill
like
you?
everybody else. I mean, if somebody's gonna get really into
So-
it to the point that he's making a career out of it, he's not gonna be like a conservative guy, you know.
Who do you think should do the assessment then? If not
Obviously
the
a
kid, then
doctor.
who?
Obviously a doctor, but what I'm contesting is the social pressure, the way it is these issues are discussed in the media. I mean, if you say something about trans people, for example, it must be something positive. Otherwise, you're gonna get, deplatformed and stuff. That's
Oh my God.
wrong.
Yeah, of course.
Like from gender affirming
And that's
therapy
good.
is a thing.
Yeah,
No,
I
that's
don't see
extremely bad.
That's insane.
That's not
good at
bad.
all.
That's insane.
Oh, like what do you
That
mean?
is
It's the
bad.
same thing with
It's
gay
not
people.
good
It
because if
should
a
be.
kid
It
goes
is
up to
good.
their mom at like 8 years old and it's a son and they say, "Hey, I don't feel like a boy. I feel like a girl." The parent has the choice to let them go start hormone therapy or not. And then if they grow up and regret their decision, there's nothing that they can do about it.
Okay,
That's
so wait,
allowed. That's allowed to happen.
Yeah, so
If parents
basically
consent,
what you're
they can
arguing,
let their
what's
children
good. No, I agree with that.
So
What you're saying is that children need, if anybody goes to have medical transition or hormone replacement therapy, that they should be certain that they are trans.
Should be
And
adult.
so that's
No, but-
why we afford the most liberty
Okay.
to children possible,
So-
that they can determine for themselves if they are trans or not with certitude, with certainty.
But
But
then it's a
I
child.
do
They
have
cannot be
do
certain.
wait.
They have
I
to be an
do have
adult to
stats.
do something
Wait,
like
wait,
that.
wait, wait, wait,
Yeah,
wait,
no.
wait,
So
wait,
my
wait.
response to that,
Wait, come
yeah,
on.
I don't want to overtalk, but I have a response to that. Go ahead. I want to go after you.
Yeah, like I do have stats for that. Like the rate of detransition for children in a survey for 317 trans children in the US was of 2.5%. So less than 5 children from 300 actually detransitioned.
Oh.
So like
What do you think that's a reliable stat? I mean, you're talking about
Yeah, like
300 people. It's too little to be representative of the general population, and it's
and
too
how
short
trans
long
time.
was this
children.
study?
What the fuck do you mean? There's not
How long
many.
was this study? How long was it?
Let me
Is it a long-term study?
let me
Or
read
was
Exactly.
it
it.
like a
I mean,
couple
this
years?
thing started like 10 years ago. You cannot have any kind
Exactly.
of reliable statistics about it.
So my response is that if we're going to assume that children cannot determine whether or not they're trans, then you have to also assume that children cannot determine whether or not they're cisgender. And so that's ridiculous. Kids can determine what their own gender is. And
Kids
in
are
fact,
kids. They
there's
shouldn't.
studies almost done. In fact, there are studies that show psychological development that human beings recognize their own gender 3, 4 years old. They have self-awareness around 18 months, and then begin to identify and show characteristics that that are gender expressions at an age of 3 or 4. So the same is true for cis people as it is for trans people. That's my point.
Yeah, but we don't force cis people to do certain things. We don't say, "Hey, you are cis." We just let them be.
No, you do because
Absolutely not. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, because you, for example, you tell boys to play sports or to use certain toys, to use certain clothes. That's enforcing the gender you as like the doctors assigned at birth to the boy.
That has
That's
nothing to do
enforcing.
with their
That's
gender
not
identity
it's not
and with their
assigned. It's
sex.
observed at birth.
What?
But yeah, what you said? My bad.
I
cut
couldn't
you off.
hear either of you because like you were all.
That telling
I
a
was cutting
male
him off.
kid to play sport has nothing to do with his sex. It's just a cultural
Exactly.
thing. But it has nothing to do
Yeah,
with
it's
his
just a
biological development. While with transitioning, you are messing with his biological development.
It absolutely has to do with gender. It absolutely has to do because you don't tell like from like a lot of from when I grew up, you don't see that many boys doing ballet, but you saw many girls doing it.
Yeah, but
You
it
didn't
has
see
nothing
that
to
many
do with his
girls
biological
like
development.
yeah.
There's a lot of girls that do volleyball and soccer. They still do
Yes,
active sports.
but not all sports. You see, volleyball is like one dominated by women most of the time. But American football, you don't see American football of like women leagues that often. Because
Yeah, but you're talking about culture. While with hormone therapy, you are messing with biological development, which is a different thing.
because you're enforcing the biological sex through gender. That's why I brought it.
boys and girls do play
That's
with
the
each other
case, then how come
when they're
there's still
young in
tomboys
all
and
sports.
there's sons or young boys who want to do girl stuff or stuff that would be deemed as like feminine or masculine? There's kids who want to do multitudes of things when they're kids because they're still exploring. How's a kid gonna know
So
about their
you
gender
agree?
identity?
That's literally gender identity. Like
Okay, yeah, but here's the
tomboys are
thing.
literal
Yeah,
a
thank you.
deviation from gender identity for women. They're literally the deviation.
You are
We call them
you are in
tomboys, but we
contradiction
don't call them
logically. I mean,
women.
you are mixing two different things.
I
You are
mean, men.
mixing two different things because
How?
I mean, you can if you are a boy, you can do any kind of feminine stuff that you want. Okay?
Like society will definitely look down upon you. Definitely.
Says who now?
Yeah,
At
but
this
it
point,
is
everything's acceptable. So
it is
there's
not
no.
intrinsically related with your biological development.
It is
If someone has a boy,
because
they would. And
if you're seen as a boy and treated as a boy because you are biologically male, anything that you deviate from your roles in and expectations from a gender perspective male, then you will be looked down on. It's like
Nowadays, are you serious?
Yes, a lot of conservative countries. Like I'm
Nowadays?
from
Are you crazy?
I'm from Latin America. You go out in high heels and a crop top as a boy, you will get beaten.
No, I thought.
Yeah.
I thought we was
No,
talking
it's like
about
that in
like.
the United States too, unfortunately. But if
It's
you
like
if
that in London as
if
well.
your
It's like that in the UK
if
as well.
your
It's like that
son,
in the UK.
if your biologically male son comes up to you at age 8 and says, "Mom, Dad, I feel like I'm a girl," then
And
you
I'm gonna be
say,
like, no, you're not.
here's your response. You say, "Great, okay, thanks for telling me no." You have there's about 3-4 years until that child hits puberty, so you give them the opportunity, the most liberty possible, to explore. And once they explore the potential that they explore for 6 months and go, oh yeah, no, I'm a boy, that's a potential. There's a potential that 6 months later they go, yeah, I like this. I want to go further with this girl thing.
Great
And
answers is just to
they
tell them
hang
that they're
out
a boy
with
right there.
hold on, almost done. They hang out with other girls. They're accepted. They dress like a girl. They talk like a girl. And then when they hit puberty, then they have that certainty to move forward with HRT, which, by the way, puberty blockers are totally safe and it's reversible. So I don't know why you guys are freaking out. And
Yeah,
surgery would
It's
be
not
something that
reversible.
happens
it is.
legally happens in this country at
That
age
is not
18.
reversible.
So there is a law there, 18, but there has been successful trans surgeries age 16 in the world. So that's what we're looking at.
Okay, so to the guy that said it's non-reversible, you're literally incorrect. Like
That's not reversible.
puberty blockers, the only thing they do is delay puberty. They don't change your gender. So when you stop
Mm-hmm.
taking them, like you just resume puberty as it was intended.
That is not true.
It's
I don't
literally
know
true
about that.
That's
because
not true. That's not true.
that medicine wasn't invented for trans people. It was actually invented for
It was
people. Oh my
invented.
God! It's like you're gonna let me talk or what?
Keep going. Keep going. My bad.
Yeah, it's
My
like
bad.
it
Sorry.
was invented for people with early puberty that their body started to produce the hormones before they were intended to, and that can cause damage. So they delayed it so they can actually have the puberty when it was meant to. So yeah,
Okay,
Wait,
so
but
do you think there's a difference between halting a puberty that's come early and then just halting a puberty that just didn't come at all?
the puberty is still gonna resume after it's done. It's like
wait, but
it's not.
Okay, but if someone was
aren't you
going through
missing
it
like
early,
aren't you missing of like 2 years of development technically?
Yeah,
No,
Am I missing that
obviously you
too?
Stunting
are.
your
I
no,
mean,
you
growth.
come on.
won't.
Oh, really?
The body
No,
doesn't
no, no,
work
no.
that
I'm just
way.
I'm just asking. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. Like,
No,
aren't you
no, like
technically missing like 2 years out or?
no, it's literally just moving the window. It's literally like a window where you're producing the hormones for your puberty. Literally, by taking hormone blockers, you're just moving the window until whenever you stop taking them.
I don't know how that works
And you
biologically.
can do
I'm
that
sorry.
up to when you are 50.
I just don't understand how
I
that
don't know
works
the
biologically.
limit, but it's certainly like more than the puberty age.
No, no, yeah, sure. I'm not saying you're wrong or anything. I'm just saying logically you'd be like, let's say you're on puberty blockers for like a year, for example, right? You missed out on a year of puberty.
It's
Puberty is
not,
only a certain set of period
you
of
didn't
time,
miss
right?
it because what produces the hormones actually didn't like it's not going anywhere. Like the body stops when it received the amount of hormones it needed.
Gotta go.
So
Sorry.
it tells itself when to stop. So until it receives that signal, it's just gonna keep producing it.
Yeah, I need to look into
So
this.
I have a question, right?
Thanks for that.
Why would parents let their child decide if they want to stunt their own puberty just because they think that they're a girl or the opposite gender before they're even the age of 10 or before they're even the age of 16 rather? Because when you're a kid, you're very imaginative. And you come up with a lot of silly stuff, and I'm pretty sure that's unanimous for anyone who's grown up on this earth. So why would you let a kid decide if they
So
want to stunt their own growth for the fact of that they're probably confused and don't even know what gender roles even have to do with them when they get
so
older?
so do you think you wanted to change your gender when you were a kid?
Nope.
Okay, so what makes you assume that most children will have that thought?
Because I'm pretty sure no kid really thinks about that until they grow up into the real world and they start talking to other people and they start understanding the life of adults. This is an adult thing. Transitioning should be an adult thing. It should not be introduced to kids who don't even know what this will do to them in the next 10 years if they kept continuing on with the therapy and artificial hormones. That's
So
why I
what
have
are
a
you
problem with
saying?
it, is because I feel like children should not have access to that type of decision, and the parents should. If the parents decide to let the child go on hormone therapy and they grow up regretting it because they were just confused and they didn't want to actually do it after all, and at that point, then who's to blame?
Hey, like three things for that argument. First, like you didn't say why are you expecting children now to question their gender if we didn't when we were kids? Like if you question your gender, probably like you will be trans because not many kids actually question their gender. They don't feel the need to. Second, the the decision is not actually 100% of the children's. You still have to go to a doctor and get the medicine approved, and that takes time. What is only approved in the moment probably will be the puberty blockers, but the hormone replacement actually doesn't come until way further down the line. And third, I found a broader study. A study. This is not about children, but about just people in general. The 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 percentage of detransition was 13% and reported at least having one external driving factor, this being like societal stigma or pressure from family to detransition. So even with this like pressures from outside, a lot of people don't detransition because they feel like the change was for the better, like for good.
At that point, is it really them or is it the people that they're influenced by around them?
Is it
how can you?
like why are you
There's,
not
there's
allowing agency for the people? Like aren't people able to take those choices?
I'll allow adults to choose what they want to do
But
with their bodies.
these
I'll
are
allow
adults.
parents to choose.
But
Okay, when
you
they're
just
adults.
conceded the fact that you didn't grow up with this idea of like well, if someone came to you when you were a kid and told you that this would be something that is like optional for you, it wouldn't have changed the fact that you have no desire to do it, right?
We
You
are not
recognize
sure
that early.
about it.
Like why would I want to change my gender though?
I don't think any kid, like you said, kids don't think about that until it's introduced to them, and then you put the thought
So
in
then
their
when
head, and
you
they're like
No,
thinking,
so then
it's
when so
"How
then
it's
would
when
it
you
if I
have
always
was
no no no
opposite
no 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 no
gender?"
no.
And then
It's
not when
always
it's
introduced. What do you mean?
it will
It's
be
always
introduced through
introduced.
some way. It will be talked about by another student. It will
But
be
it's
through a
from
YouTube video.
no,
It can be through the
it's not
news. They can
gen-
see, oh, people are
gender.
changing their.
Gender is always introduced to children from a very young age. From
Yes,
telling
but
you how to
changing it.
dress, from telling you, hey, like you ever heard the saying, "Don't touch a girl even with a petal of a flower." It's a very popular saying in Spanish, saying that you shouldn't hit girls, and
Yeah.
No, it's not.
that's like that's gender. That's literally gender norms. So they
Yes.
are they are introduced to gender. The only thing you're
Okay.
saying is that they don't.
Changing your biological sex, that's a whole different
Yeah,
thing.
you keep
Gender
mixing
can be,
gender
like
and
I said,
biological
Oh
sex,
my
but
god.
what
there
trans
can
can't
be,
people
change
like
really
I
your
said,
want to change
biological
is
Because
their
sex. You know
sex.
that.
okay,
there can
so
be girls who are tomboys, like to do manly things, right? But they still grow up to be a woman and don't want to change their biological sex whatsoever. Same
You
thing with
can't
dudes.
change your
Who's changing
biological
their
you cannot
biological
change.
sex?
Yeah,
No
it's
one's
like I
you
don't
changing
can't
know
that.
change your biological
what's
sex.
this focus with
That's
biological
a big
sex.
misunderstanding. I'm
No,
sorry.
because that's what
You can
trans
change
people
your
It's
really
gender,
want
but you
to
can't change
change.
your.
because hey,
No, they
what's
don't. They can't.
what's the
Yeah,
word?
they can't, but that's
Listen,
they would really
listen,
like to
They
do
listen,
don't.
actually.
They're not. That's
listen.
not what they're trying to do with
It's
these surgeries either.
wait. Yeah,
Oh,
what's the
really? With
word? Wait,
surgery, they are
no,
just
no,
changing their
no,
gender role.
no.
Yes, they
What's
are
the
making their
word?
gender role more like more
No,
intense, right?
Really,
just
They're being more
just
intense
having a
about.
pair
So
of
your
oh
gender
boobs
my
role,
god,
is has nothing to do with
right?
bro,
changing your
hear me
gender. It
out.
has all
Hear
to
me
do
out.
with biological
Hear me
sex.
out.
Exactly,
Bro, he
exactly.
like what's the word? Transgender.
Yeah,
Transgender,
but
not
that's no.
trans.
It's
No.
well, in my
To be
language,
fair,
is transex actually.
people use
No,
transsexual and transgender interchangeably a lot of the times. To be
because
fair. So
but
What I
the
kind of
actual
mean.
yeah, but the actual like people
I know the
why
difference.
like I'm gonna go to the example of the boobs, the pair of boobs that he said. The pair of boobs is not because they serve some sexual reproduction type of deal. It's because we associate boobs with females. That's why they do
Boobs
it.
are attached to
and
women because
female
women use
means
them to
biological
breastfeed
sex.
their children.
Yeah,
It has nothing to do with
It's
kitchen
appear.
work. I mean, come on.
It's appearing as a woman. That's the
They're
goal.
not getting these breasts to be able to breastfeed, right? Like
Exactly.
they're not doing this as a means of trying to meet some biological imperative.
mean,
They're doing it
I mean,
because
some of them
they're
are.
doing it specifically because it matches a certain like expectation for gender. Like as a
No, they want to do it because they want to be a woman, not a nurse.
okay, sure, absolutely. They want to be a woman. You understand? A woman is not a biological sex. Like
Oh no, woman
parent.
is absolutely biological.
No,
Okay,
no.
it's
A
absolutely
woman-
biological.
So
Bro,
if
a
I
woman
show
is
you
not-
a picture, if I show you a picture of like a trans man, will you say that's a woman because biologically it's a woman?
No, my opinion is that you
it's a
cannot
man.
actually transition, okay? Because you cannot change your biological sex, but gender is just a social construct. In different cultures, you have women and men doing different stuff than here.
Wait. Are you heterosexual?
I am.
Okay, so do you ask a girl when you see her, hey, are you a real woman or are you a fake woman? Do you have like chromosomes XX? Like, do you?
Eventually, you're gonna.
Well, no,
Eventually,
but when
eventually,
you don't. You see her and you think, oh, she has long hair. Oh, she has.
No, but a lot of time I
because
questioned myself asking if that woman
he may have
was
to ask.
actually a woman or a trans.
I'm not gonna lie. Eventually, he may have to ask.
Imagine if she if she has like a fake pussy, she just installed it and it's undiscernible from a cis woman. Would
Do
you
you think that
actually?
it is really undiscernible?
Bro,
yes, it is.
yeah,
Have you seen them? They
like,
are
It's actually pretty
absolutely.
easy to
bro,
tell.
like even for the hypothetical, would you be able to tell that was previously a guy just by seeing it?
At that point, that would be deception if you
I
want to
question
have a
it
family.
myself
No,
about that a few times.
the
Yes.
question. That's not the question.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can
Okay,
question yourself if whether it's a trans or a real woman. Yes, it happened to me.
Wait. When you see a woman, do you question that every single time?
When you see a trans, you do it.
But yeah,
You
my
won't know.
point.
In this hypothetical, you won't know.
My point is like there's
Yeah, but it's a fake
way-
hypothetical. I mean,
bro.
No, it's
okay,
not.
so-
This is perfectly reasonable. Like there are 100% trans people out there that do not look like what you would generally think would be a trans person.
Yeah,
they
it's
can
like-
easily convince you that they're not trans, and if they
Yeah.
have a good looking like neo vagina, then they can easily catch you slipping there also, if that's what you want to consider it.
And my point is that there's no way for you to know if it's actually a woman or not, unless like you can see into like their genes or something. That means that women is not only a biological thing; it's a societal and gender thing. Because
No, it's
when
a
you
biological
see it,
thing, bro.
no,
No,
Okay,
because a trans
you're not
You're not understanding my point.
A part of womanhood is definitely definitely societal. I agree with you, but
Yeah.
fundamentally at its core, just woman fundamentally is fundamentally rooted in biological factors.
Yeah, but I don't care about like the biological aspect because I don't want to discuss that. I'm talking to as we interact with people. There's no actual way that you can tell like a woman if you see it from a trans woman, like in a lot of cases. So
can a trans
what-
woman get wet?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
they
Oh,
cannot.
What do you
really?
mean? No. Yes.
they cannot. No,
Oh, come on.
Lube, maybe.
The same organs,
They have to lube it
bro.
up.
The same
They have to
biological
lube it
mechanism that creates pre-cum is the same biological mechanism that
And
would
do
get
you produce
Okay, so dude,
as much
so dude,
pre-cum
dude,
as a
dude,
woman
dude,
who's
you know
wet?
how like men have penises,
Jesus.
right? You know how
I'd
men
like
have
to see you
penises. What they
masturbate.
pretty much do, they put it inside
weird,
out, inside out. So the skin that stimulates your penis, that's what happens for trans women. That's
Yeah,
literally
but the
what they
penis
do.
doesn't get as wet as a vagina. Come on.
t-
Have you
I'm
ever had
No,
sex?
not
bro.
okay.
Why?
It's not fair
Why?
enough. It's not as wet, but it still
Why?
Do
gets
y'all
wet.
not know
Bro,
trans
why?
people? They literally have to lube it up.
Wait,
Like
No, they
they
don't.
have
That's
to.
bro,
that's
bro,
not
bro,
true,
bro. But I don't care. I don't care about this aspect
I don't know
because
if y'all don't know
I
trans
don't,
people, but
bro. You
they
could
bro,
have
say that
bro,
you know whatever you want, but they definitely don't. That's not true.
bro.
to.
Not all the time.
Okay.
The thing is,
All
like,
right.
I don't care
All
about
right.
this part because why do you always guys go to the sexual aspect and not what actual humans do
You
the
went to
most?
it. You asked me about
No,
that. Yeah.
it's like I'm talking about societal part. It's like you don't fuck with 99% of women you talk to because that's not
And
all
I told you
you.
that it's not about that because it's
Be-
not about gender.
Bro,
They
yes,
want
it
to change
is.
sex, not
you
gender.
cannot
No,
Otherwise, they
do
would
oh
that.
just
my
dress
That
like a
is not
god,
woman.
you're so
possible.
dense. I'm not even if that's what they like what you imagine they want. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the majority of interactions you're gonna have with a woman. It's actually talking to them. So if you talk to her like you would to any other woman, there's no problem. You don't have to fuck every single person that you see and worry if they're trans or not. Bro, it's just treating people as people. That's all what is happening. It's like they're trying to change their appearance so that you can identify them as women and treat them as women. That's all they want.
Yeah, but that's not what we are talking about. I have nothing against
Not
that.
what you're
That is exactly what
talking.
that is
We are
literally
talking
exactly what
about
we're talking
kids.
about.
What the fuck? No, it's not talking about kids. What the
We
fuck?
were originally talking about like these ideas in kids before everyone kind of showed up. The whole
Even
Yeah,
that
idea
even
because
with
that argument. I
transgenders
mean,
and the
we have to throw it
LGBTQ
back.
influencing
Yeah,
the
because
with kids.
we have to throw it back because the problem is not kids. The problem is that you're disagreeing with transness as a concept.
I
That's
literally
what.
said I don't care if adults if
But
they transition go in
this
their,
dude
on their
sure
own
does.
hold on if they,
It's
if
not that I
adults
don't
transition.
care. I'm for it.
You,
you know,
I'm totally
this was
okay
the
with it.
same
care.
argument. This
You
was the
care,
same
bro.
argument they used for homosexuality and the idea of like gay people getting married originally at 1.2, right? And even with that being as present as it is and homosexuality being as open as it is in today's society, you still have the majority of kids who are not homosexual. If you're not gay and you don't like men, then you just don't like men. You can make this experimentation argument if you want. I'm sure kids do that on occasion, whatever the case. But at the end of the day, they are not homosexual and they're not going to be attracted to men. So no
Yeah.
matter what you say or how you try to twist it, if you're not attracted to men, you're just simply not attracted to men. And the same can be said about being transgender, right? If you're not transgender and you're comfortable with your gender, you're comfortable with your biological sex, however you want to twist it, then there is nothing that anyone can tell you that's going to make you uncomfortable with your gender or make you want to change your gender and become more feminine or become more masculine or whatever the case.
And a lot of women are uncomfortable with their gender when they go through puberty.
Fair enough, but when they're done with puberty, and I believe this is also like a hormonal effect, and it has a lot
Yeah,
more
it
to
is.
do with
Yeah.
brain chemistry than it does like simply being influenced by the fact that there's other options for your gender, right? When you're done with puberty, that is no longer an issue in most
And
cases.
when you're done with yeah, and I would say when you're done with puberty and you reach closer to adulthood, that's when it's the right time to like make that decision. Not when you're prepubescent, like after puberty, sure.
Um, I'd I'd kind of argue that the gender dysphoria thing is not necessarily dysphoria in the way that like a trans person would describe it as. Like, let's say, for example, like you have an anorexic patient, right? Would you ever affirm like an anorexic person's belief that they're fat or obese when they're like 90 pounds and like what 5'6"? Like, no. Like, you would say no, that's not true, and you put them on treatment to gain weight and then like fix their image about how their body looks because that's just not their view of
They
reality
shouldn't.
is
They are
not matching
beautiful
up
as
to
they are.
anorexia.
Most
Right,
states, as far as I
exactly.
understand it, like psychiatry and going to a psychiatrist is kind of a requirement before you're even eligible for uh, any sort of like gender therapy,
Well,
right?
right. Well, the gender therapy. Well, no, actually, I actually want to like clear up some misconceptions about that. I've actually been doing a lot of research on it, and a lot of the patients that go through gender therapy, they not only do you not have to go through a therapist first, that's not always the case. A lot of the times there is like a fast track into getting treatments, getting hormones done and all that stuff, getting mastectomies. There was a case, I forgot this girl's name, but she was 15 years old when she got a double mastectomy that never healed correctly. And now she's suing the clinic that performed the surgeries on her. And as it turns out, this girl was autistic, and she just wasn't. A lot of like trans people, they will even make jokes about this online. A lot of them are autistic. They know this, and autistic people tend to think in little boxes. They like to think that, hey, 1 + 1 = 2, but 2 + 0 won't equal 2. Like it's a completely different thing equation to them. And it's the same thing with gender. So let's say you're a little boy and you want to like wear a pink dress, and someone tells you, no, you can't do that. And you're autistic. You're like, oh, well, boys can literally never wear a pink dress ever. Boys can't like the color pink. Boys can never wear a dress. And so you grow up and you have these preconceived notions that society gives you about what gender is. And then you think, well, I kind of like this thing that is only meant for girls. Am I meant to be a girl actually? And that's where the pathology comes from. It's from that like initial no from the parents who are like shielding their child away from expressing themselves in a different way, when that shouldn't be the case at all. You shouldn't like raise your kids in like a like traditionally gendered environment. You know what I'm saying?
And you have studies that back up this concept.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, one sec.
Can I see?
Because there are kids who are there's this man who was a Canadian clinician who was he was basically like the how do you say, the authority on trans gender treatment. But this guy, he got completely ousted by the people who were giving his license, I think, and he was getting sued, but he eventually beat out that case, right? But he was arguing that a lot of kids are gender non-conforming because they're kids. Like they don't really necessarily understand like why mommy says, why can't I just, put on your high heels for a second? Like I want to try on your clothes, or I want to play with trucks, mom. Like why can't I do that? Like they don't get that. They're just children. So let me see. Let me see
Yeah,
what this
like
guy's.
I know what she's talking about. Like it's like autism and transness are like really connected because like of not like of divergent thinking. It's just that they're non-conforming with how people view genders most of the time. Like the thing is, it's like 6 times more likely to have autism if you're transgender or non-binary. So, but that's not
Is that
something. Huh?
No, I was just gonna ask, does that address, because the majority of trans people don't actually transition. So does that address more so the set of the amount of people who are trans who don't actually transition? Because I would assume that like if you were if that was the case and you just felt like there was something in particular that you couldn't do and that you would have to adopt the idea of becoming a female to do it or becoming a woman to do it, then you would then like once you establish that that's who you are and that's your identity, then you would just simply go to wearing the thing that you wanted to wear that entire time, right? Like if it's a dress, then you would go to wearing a dress, or if it's
That's the
playing with
thing.
dolls, then that's something that you would want to do, be
That see, you're
identifying as
thinking.
a female.
I understand completely what you're saying. That's the logical brain thinking. But with gender, see, you have to understand. We're oh my god, this is so complicated. I was in I remember back in middle school. This is a little bit anecdotal, but it's completely true
We'll be
because
right back.
everyone remembers the SJW era and Tumblr being this hotbed of like retarded ideas, right? But what's so funny is that all these ideas that were super niche and just, spouted among other autistic people on Tumblr like for hours and months and years have now come into the forefront of the mainstream. And it's so interesting because a lot of this stuff, a lot of this like new gender identities and sexualities are actually under the umbrella term called mogai. No one understands what mogai is anymore because that term has gone out of style, and now it's like it's been shot into the mainstream. And now normal people are and institutions are expected to not only accept and understand these things, but also write these things into law and onto official documents and things like that. And it's absolutely crazy to see how much the narrative has spun into the mainstream zeitgeist, basically. But I think my point was that see, there is a culture online now that has a festering idea that your egg must be cracked. Like if you have these feelings, weird feelings about your gender, and it's especially, which is why there's a whole grooming epidemic that people talk about with like older trans women
Wow.
and younger boys who oh man, this might not be completely politically correct, but it's true. This stuff happens. I think most notably is with Keffals and uh, the Capway server, where they were like giving teenage boys HRT from like Brazil, and also giving instructions on how to make it in your bathtub with no sterilization procedures, none of that. It just
So,
chemistry in your bathtub, bro. Breaking Bad, but with HRT.
so you know why that happens, right?
Because of grooming. It's because like
No, it's literally backwards. The problem that happens because there are not any safe channels that they can actually to go through treatment. So if
well,
those people are
uh-huh.
willing to change their gender, it's not because of grooming. Like no amount of grooming like can actually make you feel another gender.
But
Because like
that's not true though. That's been the case
no,
several
it
times.
doesn't
Yes, it has.
happen.
Yes, it does. There are
Like
victims
where?
who come out about it. Okay, one second.
No.
Let me just
About
find.
gender
I
grooming?
don't disagree with the idea that it could happen, right? Like
It
I
could
don't think
happen.
it's
It's
impossible, but I
yeah,
think
but it's
through
not
the
an
conventional
epidemic.
channels, like because I mean through the conventional channels that like media or interacting with trans people or having trans people represented in different forms
That's
of
not what I'm saying. I never said that, okay?
well
Like we don't need.
when you have first came in here, that's kind of what they were trying to suggest before, and I think
Oh
that's
well,
kind of where he's coming
I
from when he
don't.
says that he doesn't feel
Well,
as if
no,
that's
that's not what I said though. Like I'd rather him engage with what I actually said rather than like come at whatever someone said like 10 minutes ago, right? Like that makes
fair enough.
sense, I think.
I got you.
Um, so what I'm saying is there is actually an online community that like allows group thinking into this like pipe dream of if you take all these hormones and you have to start really young, you have to start right now. You're 15, you're going through puberty right now, take all these hormones, make sure that you don't tell your parents about where you're getting who you're talking to. If you're talking to me, it's fine. They'll never accept you anyway. Like, and usually these teenage boys are losers, right? They don't have a community outside of the one that they have online, right? So they're not going to get any competing viewpoints on like, hey, dude, who are you talking to all the time online? Like, are you taking drugs? Like, what is up with
Again,
you? Like, stuff
again,
like that.
the problem you're phrasing is not about the grooming. It's about
It,
people not
let
having a
me
safe
actually, okay,
space.
okay, really quickly. Not everyone, not everything needs a safe space. Sometimes things are just not good. Okay. And
So
what I'm trying to get
transness
at
is
here
not good.
is what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the gender affirming surgeries and treatments are not good because
What's a
all
lot of
else
them?
oh man. So, if you didn't know, puberty blockers are hormones. Let's get that clear, like full stop. They are hormones, right? So once you get on
The-
puberty blockers, you
They're
can't just
hormone
it.
blockers, but
No,
okay.
no, 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 no. They use hormones to block other natural hormones that would happen during puberty. That's how they work. So you
They,
are taking hormones to
no,
block other hormones.
they
Yes.
they block
Okay, okay, okay. So if
the
okay,
hormone
wait,
producing
wait, 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 wait.
organs.
So if no, tell me the drug that they use for hormone blockers, and I want you to name me that drug since you know. Look it up, then tell me what it is really quickly since you know. Go ahead.
So like
Oh, oh,
what do you mean like when you say
uh-huh.
that there are
No, 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 no,
hormones?
no, 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 no.
Oh
I
my
want you
god.
to
Okay,
look
so you
up
want
the puberty blocker. Look
bro,
it up.
like what I'm just saying is that they're
No, no,
hormone
no, no,
blockers.
no.
They just
I want you to
prevent
look it up. I want you to look it up.
Yeah.
Google
uh
it.
They call gonadotrophin releasing
Yeah,
hormone.
yeah, you're right. This is technically a hormone. Yeah, you're right. I'm seeing it right now.
Exactly. So, like I
It
was
is.
saying, it is a hormone. So, moving on. Now that you're taking more hormones to block off the natural puberty that is supposed to happen, you can't go back. All the
Thank
things,
you.
all the things that you're talking about, like, oh, you can go back and just get off of it. There's no problem. That's bullshit. You stop
Thank
a
you.
natural bodily function.
Yes.
Puberty, the most important, oh my gosh, the most
Yes.
important thing
Oh
ever
my
you can
god.
go through. Full stop.
Hallelujah.
You cannot go back. So you were just spouting
So
bullshit. Thank you for the people who actually Googled it. So
so
now that we've gotten no. I'm not
Yeah,
done
right.
speaking, okay? I'm not done
because
speaking. Sorry. Because
oh
you
yeah,
you
you
just
just want to
outed
say
yourself.
you just want to say like
Nope,
absolutely
nope,
bullshit
nope,
thing.
nope, nope,
No,
nope,
nope,
no.
nope,
You're
nope, nope,
bullshitting.
nope,
You were
nope, nope,
bullshitting. I'm
nope,
sorry.
nope, nope.
Like this is
He is
you. I'm
Bro,
completely
sorry.
right, bro.
this is literally not
You're
true.
mad.
This is
You're
literally
actually
not
seething.
true.
We
Oh
just googled
really?
it. It
And
says
why
it
Literally
does
right
the
not
on
true.
NHS
Yo,
Wikipedia.
stop on?
okay. Just Google like hormone blockers after effects, and literally the first line that will appear is there are no
No,
known
no, no, no,
You
no.
irreversible
gotta look
That's
effects
into
not.
it. You
for
That's
gotta
not what
look
it
puberty.
was.
into it.
That's not what it was. No, that's
What?
not what it was. You said that they weren't hormones. They are hormones.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
correcting you on the second point though, but now you want to keep
The
engaging on
second
that because you
thing.
got a tongue.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
No.
No,
Listen,
no,
Yo, can you guys
you're
take a
pivoting.
second
like
to
a dumb fuck. Oh my
can you guys take a
god.
second
You're
to just
completely pivoting.
'cause, I mean this back and forth is like a nothing burger. Can you guys take a
It's
second
literally
to just
nothing.
can you guys just take a second to like review what we just talked about? Because someone new just
Okay,
came in
sure.
here. I think.
So what we're talking about right now, I'm talking about basically children who are basically autistic, don't fit in with the group, don't have a community outside of an online world, and then get completely absorbed in a community online. So building off of that, they're going on these communities and they get sucked into like gender ideology. And it happens because
The
weird
the
changes
transgender
are going through.
pipeline.
No. Okay, listen. So I mean, if the alt-right pipeline can exist, why
The
can't other
transgender
pipelines exist?
pipeline.
Okay. Anyway, so that can happen. People can go onto these online public forums, public social media websites like Tumblr, like I detailed with Tumblr and the Mogai community, what that was at the time, and that getting bolstered into like the zeitgeist that we have now today. Because I was reading shit back when I was 13 about like I'm virus gender or I'm virus sexual, like actual computer virus gender and sexual. Stuff like that was actually running rampant on Tumblr at the time. Just a whole bunch of a lot of that crap, right? So now my main point is that a lot of this gender ideology stuff cannot actually
Yo, gee,
be legally
bro.
cannot be understood in a legal sense and shouldn't be because it's basically nonsensical, right?
So when you're saying that, are you talking about like neo pronouns and that kind of thing?
I'm saying like gender ideology as a whole, like what it means to
How
be
can
trans
gender?
and
What
what
the
it
fuck
means
is
to
gender ideology?
Sorry. So
so
how can gender not be acknowledged legally when it is already?
Gender basically, gender is a set of sexist stereotypes that we attribute to like the sexes, right? Because there are only two sexes. We know this. It's
Mm-hmm.
male and female. So
Sorry,
now
I
you
asked
have
a
to
question about
understand
legally. You
with
said that
legal stuff.
you said it can't be depicted or
It shouldn't be.
represented
And no,
legally
no, that's not what I'm saying. I didn't say depicted. I mean like
or
in a legal
represented.
sense,
I
it
said
can't be. Yeah, it can't be. It just can't because there are
how
already prisoners. There are prisoners in jail. They can. Okay, listen. It can happen, but it's not safe to. Okay, that's what I mean. It's
it's
not
not
safe
safe
to.
to
It's
what?
not right to
There like
It's
a
not right
allow.
to
guy
what?
who there's a guy who transitioned into a woman like a day before his court and he got sent to a women's prison.
That
Just
would
the day
not.
That's a
before.
Then
problem.
Can
yeah.
That's
you?
a
Sorry,
problem with the court, not the
sorry.
guy.
Hold on. Can you guys show? We literally had a speaker
It's the
on
The
this
law.
guy.
server.
That's
We
kind
literally
of
had a speaker
transphobic
on
of
this
you.
server a month ago. That was dispelling this entire concept. Can you give any type of evidence to what you just said? Because actual trans women can't get into women's prisons. So the concept and
Okay,
the fear
so.
mongering that someone can
Mhm.
just change their gender identity and the court will accept it is a bullshit lie.
Yeah, there are
Okay, how
trans
can we
women
tell?
in
Wait, wait,
women's
wait, really
prison.
quickly, really quickly.
Sorry,
How can we how
I
can we
asked for evidence.
distinguish?
I asked
Right,
for
okay,
evidence.
how can we distinguish? Okay, one second. I'll bring you your evidence of the
Thank you.
what do you need evidence for really quickly?
What the other person just said, that a man
From
claimed to be a woman a day before his court and got sent
Who
to a women's
claimed
prison.
to be a woman gets
Mm.
sent to female prison. I mean, there are so many cases of this. Actually, it's
Oh
not even
yeah,
just
There are
so
cases of
many.
trans women going to women's prisons,
Trans
absolutely.
no, not trans women, just people,
woman from the
men.
UK who was convicted of promoting.
Okay, so
Right.
okay, this happened actually what? The 4th of January. Transgender serial killer who targeted women sent to a female prison.
Where?
Oh, let's see. And this is in one sec. Let me have a couple others as well. Rapist identifies as a trans woman, gets sent to women's prison. Employee reports men are claiming to be women to transfer to female prison. Yeah, this isn't just like a one case. There was one Karen White, 52, previously known as Stephen Wood, and David Thompson, used her persona to put herself into contact with vulnerable persons, a court heard. Actually, this person, specifically Karen White, underwent
Can you post it?
gender. Yeah, sure. One sec. I'm just my computer is really slow. This is like a refurbished laptop from like
No, it's
Amazon.
fine.
My apologies.
Boudico, I
It's fine.
posted and tagged you.
Okay,
Debate
cool.
text.
So part of the issue with this is that I think that there's obvious like concerns for people to use something real and weaponize it. You know, that's an obvious concern and it's understandable. That concern though is literally keeping actual trans women out of women's prisons and keeping them in prisons with men where they are much more likely to be murdered, maimed, beaten up, completely abused by both other prisoners and staff. Trans women who are not dangers to women.
What
And
is? Can you actually give me the statistic of how many transgender women are put into prisons for violent crime?
Why should that matter?
wait, what is that? What does this do with anything? Wait, hold on.
Because there's
So many.
a
There are so many different things right now. I hate when people cite the fact that a trans woman got other women pregnant, as if that is some. She didn't rape them.
Nearly
What?
5,000 transgender people are incarcerated in state prisons, but we know very little about their lives before prison or their experiences during incarceration.
And
That's by
So you
Prison
guys are just
Policy
you're throwing a
Initiative.
lot of shit at the wall, guys.
yeah, and
Yeah,
again,
you asked
I
and
for
mean,
it. You
you
I
asked for
know,
no,
the
asked.
but
statistics.
DD
We did
Dan
ask.
also just posted something, and I'm answering that. Like, what does that have to do with anything?
You just
yeah,
asked the question. I just read it out loud.
no,
That's it. You
yeah,
But
asked
I
how
had
many
just
women are
said
incarcerated.
something. I had just said something about the other article that was posted. Is my
It
point.
was 2 seconds before you. Okay, whatever.
It wasn't
Yeah, so
Boudica
post
who
it.
asked the question, it was Light.
yeah, it was Light, not Boudica.
You
Well,
answering
the question was
Light's
asked. I just
question.
answered. My bad.
And
No,
that's the
okay,
problem the
it's
person is
fine.
raising.
It's fine, but it's
Boudica is
like
saying that you guys are
that
speaking too much.
that
You're
question
answering
had
each other's
nothing to
question.
do.
Just
Talk about
answer
it.
the question. I heard a
It's
question. I
okay.
answered it. That's it.
It's
Talk
okay,
about it.
but like the question had nothing
Now
to do
let
with what
Boudica
Boudica
speak.
said.
How about that one?
So D Dan, you piped up before. You said I tagged you. That had nothing to do with what I asked for before. This person who got transferred there and impregnated women. What are you trying to say about this article?
No, I thought the supposition was trans women going to female prisons.
No,
They
it's more so like, first off, I'd like to say, there, to be honest, they're really, how do you make the distinction between a trans woman who gets into a female prison versus a man who claims just the day before that he is trans in order to get to the female prison?
So I'm going to
Right?
say it one more time, and I can definitely provide you guys with links if you need it. At this stage in the game, this is not a concern. The concern is trans women being in men's prisons because
No,
of
not
the
really. That was not the
because
concern, actually.
it
of
should
course
be.
it's not. Of course it's not the concern. My point to you though is that trans women getting into assaults or raping or whatever women in women's prisons is so minuscule of anything occurring in terms of anything statistically in comparison to the thousands of trans women who are in men's prisons, who are raped and murdered and maimed for being trans women in men's prisons.
What
That's the problem.
man doesn't get raped in a men's prison, though?
Many. What is
Oh
that? What does
my
that have to do
god,
with
what
anything?
the fuck does
Most
that
men
mean?
don't get raped in a men's prison.
Yeah, what
Actually,
No, I'm
does
the
that
saying
amount
mean?
of rape against men is immense
there's
high, like it's crazy in the prison.
yeah, men always
You
get
know,
raped in prison, so it's fair to
No, no,
say
no, no,
that a
no, no,
trans
no.
woman
There's a
will also
difference
get raped in
between
prison.
saying that it happens a lot or that it has happened in comparison to like how much it happens in the outside world, and saying that most men who go to prison get raped. That's not true.
No, that's not what I said.
That's what she's saying.
Oh, well.
I mean, men get raped in prison all the time. That's just a thing that happens in prison. That's the culture.
But this is the issue with your argument, right? Like you're trying to use that as a reason to say that it's not as much of a problem in when trans people go to prison and they get raped, but like the majority of men don't get raped. But I'm sure I don't know the statistics specifically, but I'm sure that a pretty large amount of trans people who go to prison are going to be getting raped in comparison to how many trans people are in
Yes,
prison.
it's the
Period.
I can
It's
post
like
that. This has been this isn't like a question either. This is very well known, very well understood. Even
okay,
comparing it to men, I'm posting it in debate text now.
To be honest,
yeah,
regardless of men, if they're getting raped higher or lower than transgender women, and regardless of if you agree with the transgender movement or not, I think that's a pretty easy solvable problem, right? Because with the men raping other men, I mean, like you can't fix that. It's impossible. It's like one of those instances where it sucks, but can't fix it. Like when people get raped and like shit doesn't just fucking function with like trying to find out if the person actually raped her or not, right? It's one of those as well where you're just like, it is what it is. We have the best system in place. There's no better one.
Yeah,
but with
that's
the
what I'm saying.
transgender ones, I think that you can just fucking make transgender prisons, like make one somewhere and just send them there.
Here,
like, isn't that the fucking like solution for all of this?
A study from University of Irvine, California, said that
I mean,
transgender women were 13 times more likely to be sexually assaulted than a random sample of incarcerated men. So there you go.
Yeah, that's what I was saying before. And yeah, I mean, Ardian, if that's the kind of thing that would change it, of course. I think an easier thing would obviously be something along the lines of, which is still inhumane, just because someone is trans, but allowing them to be in a women's prison, while being, what's the word? Not solitary confinement, but like they already have different areas in prison for different populations. So I feel like that would be something that is like an easy answer, but because of this fear mongering that people just kind of shout out into the world and kind of frame trans women as dangerous men in like a population of women, as if the women in prison are like these like saintly females, which is a joke. It just isn't reality. The point,
Well, then,
and the
if
fact that
the
trans
females aren't a
men,
saint, then trans women should just stay in the men's prison.
what? That doesn't make any sense what you just said.
They should just stay in the men's prison. If
So the point is, I'm gonna say it to you one more time. I'm gonna try to make it very clear. Logically speaking, if trans women being in women's prisons is not resulting in a higher rate, if a trans woman is not more likely to assault or rape another woman prisoner in comparison to other women, but a trans woman being in men's prison, the rate of them getting raped or attacked or killed is much, much higher. Why do you think that it's still a good idea for them to be there instead of with the women?
Because there's always a chance that a trans woman will rape a female
My
prisoner
God.
in their presence.
Like, literally, you just,
you're just going to completely ignore what she just said.
Yeah.
Literally, yes.
Because
Why
like
they
that's
can't
the
be
whole
in a trans
like
prison?
because to be honest with you, like it's
If you
there's
don't have an answer, there's
no
nothing wrong with saying you don't have an answer. That's
no,
fine.
I do have an answer because I don't think trans women are women. That's the thing.
Wait,
They are
hold
women.
on, baby. You didn't need
I
to say
don't
that.
care.
It's very
That still
clear.
doesn't address what she asked you, though.
Yeah.
We're asking you about like the incidences of rape, right? Like how easy it would be to get raped in a
Okay,
men's prison being trans versus vice versa.
let's put it
I mean-
let's put it this way. Do you think rape is bad?
No, we don't have to run down this line of logic, but realistically, like, it's a simple question.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
you
sure
say
you
you
guys
say-
are not comprehending the position of light. She's
No, no,
basically
no.
trying to
Like,
say that, yeah,
but-
it is a lesser evil, but it doesn't make it right, therefore.
No, but like, let's put it this
Because-
way. So, do you, like, you think rape is bad? Just yes or no?
This is such a silly question.
Yes,
I
just
think
answer it.
rape
Just
is
follow
Yeah,
down the
that's
dialogue,
why I
Chris.
want you to answer it, because logically
follow
it
down the
makes a
dialogue,
lot of
Chris.
sense. It is silly because it makes sense. Bless you.
Thank you. So my
Do
thing
you think
is,
it's bad? Yes or no?
of course, yes.
Okay. Do you
Is
think we
bad
should
when it
be?
happens to male criminals?
Do you think we should prevent it from happening as much as we can?
That is the whole fucking premise of the conversation, man.
If we should prevent it as much as we can, and by putting trans women in women's prisons, we prevent trans women from being raped, and like cis women are not getting raped by trans women. So why
But that's
shouldn't we
not
do that?
true.
Then
But that's-
every
wait,
inmate
wait,
should
wait.
be in perennial isolation.
It's not Budoko's
It's not
argument.
true because, like, what's
Yeah.
happened is that they actually do put trans women prisoners into the
And
female
separate
prisons.
blocks. Yep.
Well, but then how come we've had cases of transgender women prisoners impregnating the other prisoners?
Impregnation is not the same as rape.
Sorry, hold on.
This is not to say that this isn't an.
Okay,
That's exactly why I said that when Dan posted that thing, because people post that story as if it says something about rape, and it doesn't. Those were all consensual relationships. The problem that I have with you, especially, do you know who Nikita Dragon is, Light? It seems like
yeah,
you
it's
have your
that.
hand on the pulse of this type of thing. So I assume that you know a couple months ago when she got put into a men's prison or men's jail rather in Miami, right?
Yep.
She's like a 5'4" Asian trans girl who has a vagina. She was put into a
Has
men's
a
prison
vagina?
because of your has a
that's GG.
vagina. Yeah.
That's a big GG.
A neo vagina.
Hold on. That's GG. Period. Wait, but because of the concern that you're talking about right now, not giving any real credible evidence, the rates, the statistics. Listen, I love when people say this as if nobody else in the conversation like cares about women, cares about the safety of women, et cetera, and like they're the only person who has that position. Everyone cares about women and their safety, especially when it comes to rape and being attacked. The problem is that nothing statistically or numbers wise proves that it presents more of a risk for that than otherwise. Most women who are raped in prison are raped by the male guards or other female prisoners. Period. Trans women being in prisons does not result in more rapes. They don't attack at a higher rate, at least in American prisons. I don't know what it is elsewhere. I heard you guys talk about the UK. But like because of that concern, this woman, trans woman, sorry, whether or not you think she's a man, she's a trans woman, legally and in every other way, with a vagina, was put into a prison, a jail with men who, if they didn't know that she was trans, that's just a woman with a pussy sitting in front of them.
Oh,
And you think
come
that that's
on. They
okay?
clearly know that
Yeah,
he
even
was a
if they do know
trans.
this,
Even if they do know, what the fuck? Like the penis doesn't care about that.
my shit means
My
nothing.
penis does, actually.
yeah.
Rape occurs at same rates as like with other women. Would you say that's fine? Like to have them together? Like it's happening at the same rate, right?
Well, if
I would
like,
say that the it would depend on what the other rate of criminality would be, because obviously rape is one thing.
Just that one in in a vacuum. I'd say that's the only crime that occurs within jails is rape.
And
it's
it would
occurring
still
at the same rate.
you can still make the argument. You can still
bro. It's for Budokan, not for the whole.
I would say on like a different paradigm, I would still think that they should be separated for multiple reasons. but mostly regarding like the fact that jail is supposed to be obviously rehabilitative as well as like punishment. And I think that creating kind of like a regular society in closed walls
that would be a
would
paradise. I
create
mean,
more
you do
problems.
nothing and you fuck. I mean,
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like that kind of messes with the point of prison. But in terms of it being so, like for that reason, I wouldn't want them together. But I think the risk of rape would not be one of the reasons that I wouldn't want them together in that case.
Okay, I see.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
I'm still waiting for Light to like respond to when she says trans women. I need her to understand that she means trans women who have had full sexual reassignment surgery, who have vaginas,
I'm
like
talking. No,
who
but
are
the
not.
thing is, like, the reason why that the other user talked about the man who proclaimed to be a transgender woman a day before the trial to get relocated to a
Which
female
still
prison
hasn't happened.
was wait, it has. I already.
That did happen. That actually
Yeah,
Wait,
that
where was?
happened.
Hold
So,
on.
yes.
Then I asked for it. Who?
Yeah, it's in the debate text. Are you
Are you talking about the New Jersey one? That didn't
posted it.
happen.
What? It's right.
Where?
It's in the UK.
UK.
Okay, stop. Like again, jumping around. But this isn't the UK we're talking about, are we?
Well, what? Okay, what source do you
We're
want
talking about
then?
society, period.
Yeah, like
So
what?
But we
What do you
can't talk
mean?
about the laws of a society and pretend that they're all the same. And the
Oh
American
God.
prison
Okay.
system is very different from the. Sorry, this isn't like I'm not like kind of moving the goalpost. That's
You
a
kind of
different
are
topic.
because you didn't.
That's
No. You
the
you
British
kind of are because
prison
you didn't
system
even
is
yeah,
nothing
you,
specify.
like the
You
American
didn't
prison
specify.
system.
That's on you,
yeah,
actually.
Of course
you are
I
so
did.
concerned about trans women that you are moving subject.
Wait,
Like,
she established this before though. This isn't the first time she's saying this. She said this originally, like when she first came in here. This was one of the things that she said was that she doesn't feel like you can use other countries as a comparison because the United States prison system is so drastically different.
Yeah, and we have our own specific laws. Like we're already comparing apples and oranges. We don't have the same laws in America around gender identity that Britain does either.
yeah,
So
it's
how
like
is this like even the same? How is this being compared at all?
yeah, if we go to Iran, the punishment for being gay, you make is like gender reassignment or death. Like you can go to any country and see like weird fucking ass examples.
Right. And I guess the bigger point, the overall point that everyone is saying in reaction to this, I would still love to see it happening in America because I will say that's an issue, is the fact that it doesn't happen here. That's the problem is that we are so far on the side of what you're saying that we are putting actual trans women, no matter how many times you want to call them men, women with vaginas into men's prisons to be raped, which is what you're trying to stop women from doing. I mean, it's okay that you think that trans women are men. No one really gives a fuck. But the reality is, you have to understand the hypocrisy of you putting a certain group in danger and just saying that it's okay. Like,
I'm not saying
if you
that
say
it's
that, then it's all
okay. I
good. Then we're
didn't. I've
G.
never said it was okay.
Danger,
My thing is,
unnecessary danger.
yeah, like my thing is, I'm not saying it's okay. I just don't think they should be located into the female prison. There should be a
I know.
separate prison for them. That's what I'm saying. I never
I know.
condoned rape. So yeah.
I know that's what you're saying. I feel like you haven't really adequately argued it, but
I mean, I wasn't
I
asked
think
to,
that.
so I don't
Do you
know.
think that all trans people should be put in a women's prison? Like if they're
trans
trans, but
women,
they
no.
It's women only. Trans men,
like
no.
okay, I'm saying trans women in a women's prison, even if they're like a convicted rapist.
No, I think that these things are definitely case by case, and I think that again, like somebody, a serial killer who kills women, if that was a female, um, obviously would be in solitary confinement. She wouldn't be put in the men's prison, um, but she wouldn't be allowed to predate on women in the population that she's a part of. She'd be kept separately from them. I think the same thing could be done
Okay,
with a
so what?
trans woman, but I also think that in terms of the concept of people just being able to willy-nilly identify with whatever and then like the law will follow that, that's a joke. because you literally have women who have been trans for decades, that just because this is now like a politicized conversation, if they run into the law, they are going to be put in actual danger just because they're trans. And that's the
Okay.
problem. That's
Okay,
the
so what's
serious
wrong?
problem that I have.
Okay.
What's wrong with putting trans women in their own cell block in the men's prison?
Because they still have access to them. When you have your own
They
cell
don't.
block,
Not in
like,
their.
do you understand what a cell
No,
block
they don't.
is?
Yes, I've been to prisons.
Okay,
Yes,
so then you
a
understand
cell
that
block.
having your own cell block is not always going to keep you from all the dangers that can come from being within that population. They will
Wait.
absolutely like do things like give them different shower times and things along those lines, but and they have their own
No,
wings and floors usually in terms of where they're housed, but like they're still usually within
yeah.
general population.
No, they're not. They're in their own cell block. Their
Where?
own cell block has everything. What do you mean
What state
where?
were you
Do you
in?
know
I don't know,
what
because
how a
I've actually read about this,
how a
and I'm
cell
saying
block works? A whole cell block. It has showers. It has individual yard time. It has everything. You don't take like all the prisoners out at once. You have individual time for each cell block.
yes, I know. I'm saying that not every state works like that, which is again why we can't compare
Of
our
course, not
prison
every
system to
state.
someplace like Britain. We have state prisons.
I'm talking about Maryland right now.
Okay,
Like putting them in their own cell block.
okay.
What's wrong with that? Is anything wrong with that?
Because you're calling them men, and
I
they're
said
you're
trans
treating them
women.
and
I
you're
didn't
treating
say
them like
men. I
men.
said trans
I'm
women.
saying the country and the legal system would be calling them men by putting them in a
No,
men's
they would be
prison.
calling them trans women.
What is that?
But
Hello,
they
do
Yo,
you know
bro,
what the word?
can you send
what?
proof that they have specific like dedicated cell blocks to trans women in Maryland?
Okay.
I'm just asking. Does that like? Do you have an article?
No. No, it's fine.
I don't think that the point is what's actually happening, but what should happen.
No, I think that's fair, but I'm curious. This is outside of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. My point is that I don't think that someone's status of being trans should relegate them to the prison population of their biological sex automatically. I find it concerning that people would think that, given how certain trans men look and the danger that they would actually pose to women by being in prison with them, which is completely ignored in this context too. But in addition to that, do I think that every single person who is trans, depending on like when they identified as that, what steps they've taken, etc., I think all of those things need to be taken into account, obviously. But I don't think that we should be falling on that side of the pendulum as much as we are right now, because that's basically all anyone talks about is this like concern trolling that trans women or men who want to pretend that they're trans will just do that in order to get access to women's prisons. It's just not a reality.
What about a trans prison then?
Sure, but I mean, I don't care. For
There's
who? We're gonna
not
have trans women prisons and trans men prisons, or what?
There's not enough of them. That's the problem.
Exactly.
I was just about to say, even the idea of a state having like a trans cell block. I mean, I don't think there would be necessarily enough trans women in any given state going to prison to make that like make sense. Because I mean, at that point, you would just pretty much have like maybe 2-3 people in an entire cell block, right? Just by themselves doing. I mean, it just seems like it would be like a bad way to spend money when you can just easily put them in a woman's prison and have that be the case instead.
What about transgender men? What do they do to them?
They're allowed to go to women's prisons.
Yeah, I was about to say they would get their
Which is a
fucking ass
joke, is
raped.
what I'm like. I mean,
No, I don't think
that's
that's
the
a
part
joke.
that
That's good.
No, I'm saying that. So wait, why is that good automatically?
I mean, if I would be in a fucking jail, I don't give a fuck what you identify as. If you have a pussy, you gotta be fucking knowing that you're the number one, not the guy with the asshole.
So, in terms of the dangers that it poses. See, like we automatically, I feel like, keep jumping to like
Do you think if
framing
men...
it in this way. Hold on, I'm gonna be posting in debate text.
Yeah, go ahead.
You think that this man? Why is none of my shit working?
I
You think
can't.
that this man should be put into women's prison?
What's his name? Do you
Laith
know?
Ash.
Will you post it? Debate text.
Can
Mm-hmm.
you tell me the name?
Laith Ashley, Laith.
Can you spell?
Ashley.
Can you write it for me, please? I want to copy.
Yes. Give me 1 second.
Should it be a woman's prison?
In my
I'm
opinion,
saying
yes.
right now,
Is it
when people are focusing on biological sex only, this, like, according to those auspices, this man would be put into a women's prison because it's a trans man.
Where?
Sorry, it's in debate text.
No, I saw that, but like, what prison system would allow that person to be in a
I mean, this
woman's
is the
prison?
same one that would allow a transgender woman to be put in men's prison, right?
I would
That's
100% not put this person into a female's,
woman's
into
prison.
a man's
Yeah,
prison.
no.
This person should
So they
go
should
to
be
the
put in
female's.
a women's prison.
Does this person have like surgery dick, like done the thing?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
I don't know, but wait, I mean, this is like kind of what I'm talking about, though, because according to the what that girl who obviously like bitched out and just didn't have anything else to say besides trans women are men, like when these things are not thought out and they just say like trans people should be, or trans women should be in men's prisons, they ignore any details around it, which is why she had nothing to say when I said about what happened to Nikita Dragon or many trans women who are just trans women, and like people then assume that
I
means
don't
they have
hold
a
that
dick.
position, right?
What?
I don't hold that position. I agree with
No, I know, and I'm getting annoyed, but I'm just saying that like that's the part for me that is people just want to say shit in order to kind of like meme, but in all actuality, like this affects people's lives. Like
I think regardless of if you whatever your fucking beliefs on the matter are, if you have a group of people that is being raped, and I mean everybody's gonna agree that transgender women do try to appeal physically more to the female sex, right? So in prison, where straight men will even rape fucking masculine men looking men, because shit is just fucking shit, I guess. And you have then a group of people that looks phenotypically more aligning with women. I mean, obviously they're gonna get focused.
yeah, and that's scary. It's scary
But
that just
again, this is
by
why I ask if this person had a pussy, right? Because if this person has a pussy, you better be betting that this person is gonna be like the top-notch person who's gonna be raped in the prison.
Right.
Because these motherfuckers, they rape men.
No, I know what you're saying. I'm more going along with what the logic is on the other side in terms of like females not presenting some type of danger to other females in prison in terms of raping and attacking, and if people should be just based purely on what their biological sex was, regardless of what type of
Got a work meeting to go to in a couple minutes, like in a couple seconds. Yeah, I'm gonna finish this up and then see what I say.
what that logically looks like, taking that to its end. And it is illogical, especially with all of the changes that we've been seeing. People want to say black and white, like trans women are men, and you can show them an anatomically
Even if
female
that is
person.
right, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how this is what I meant. I don't understand why it matters if they are men or not. both are going to agree that that person is looking closer to a woman than a normal male. So in the end, it doesn't matter if you believe it is a woman or not. We all agree that it looks closer to a woman. We all agree that in fucking prison you get raped even if you look masculine. So
It's the pregnancy aspect that's the
Yo,
issue.
wait, no, Blackworth isn't black?
No.
Bro, get a mute on this nigga, please. I
It's
can
the
already see it.
pregnancy aspect that's the issue, bro.
Whoa. This really is identity politics.
Shut up.
So
Didi,
it,
Dan, can you clarify what your question was in text? And Artie and I agree.
Right. I mean, I'm just going to recite it, but so depending on the judge on the case, both these male appearing females, genetic females, could go
Trans
to
men.
either. Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yes, that.
Shut up, no trans men. This is identity politics.
So depending on the judge on the case, it could go to either men or women's prison. Is that not problematic that we'd rely on a single judge to have to with bias to decide this outcome?
I think it should be jury and unbiased judge.
Please get a mute on it.
All judges
Yeah,
are
I'm gonna mute him. So
yeah.
I think the bigger problem would be that just their status as being trans would decide which prison that they go to. So,
what crime they
But
do?
you don't believe that.
Without
sorry.
surgery?
But you don't believe that. You don't believe
What
just
crime they
them
did
saying it.
to deserve prison.
Like it's got to be more than that.
I can't hear what anyone's saying.
Just because this freaking dudes just keep talking. You don't believe that because you would say that it depends. Like you don't believe that anyone who just says they're trans could just go to whichever prison they want to go just because they say they're trans.
Yes.
So it has to be more than just they say they're trans. Like how would
Absolutely.
you prove that they're like who is like it just seems like you're saying like you got proof if they're trans enough.
I think that if they have a demonstrable record of taking steps to transition socially and absolutely medically, that would give them much more that would guard against any concerns that they're just doing it to get into a women's prison. I don't see how it wouldn't be, because if they were trans for 5 years before they got arrested for something, how the fuck is anybody going to pretend that they're just being trans to get into women's prison instead of men's prison? Like, it doesn't make sense. So yes, I think that someone's history medically and socially, legally, has to be taken into consideration. And just because someone's trans, it doesn't mean that they should be going to the prison of their biological sex.
But if they have a functional penis?
I wouldn't mind that being part of the discussion, but I'm still arguing against the point that at this point, it's just trans women belong in men's prison because they're a danger to women. And I'm trying to illustrate how that logic, that statement, doesn't make any sense according to what it's based on. Do you know what I mean?
But
I do understand what you're saying very clearly, because basically is you would say you would take it by case basis. So if a person starts transitioning in prison, then that would be taken with a very big grain of salt than a person who is basically transitioned or is transitioning in their everyday life and then ends up in prison, right?
Exactly. I think those are different cases. And I think the other one could be addressed in a specific way. And I think that's when, like, certain things could be taken into consideration around, having their own cell block or whatever could be done in that case. But it's more the statement that girl was making brazenly, and the things that she was trying to use to back it up, that's the real concept that is actually affecting this, because it's just preying on fear and it has no reality to back it up. And it's frustrating, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, but it's like a lot of things we fear has no basis in reality. Like you're not like we all might fear like getting stabbed or something, but it might be a low rate of that in your certain area. But we judge everything on like fear.
Yeah,
So
but the legal
like
precedence
to
that exists for something like that is usually going to be contingent on what is actually real, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not going. You're not just going to sit here and tell people you can't go to the prison that matches your physical characteristics because we fear that this is going to happen when there's no substantial evidence to prove that. You know, you're
In an
playing
idealistic,
lives.
world, sure, we can have like mixed prisons. The problem is again, we don't live in said idealistic world. So we're stuck with the circumstances that has been presented to us, and so we have female prisons and male prisons. We also have prisons for the ultra violent, right? We have also
Why would we have mixed prisons? That's like a recipe for disaster. Like, you don't want
No,
people to
I'm
get
saying
pregnant.
in an ideal
I'm about to
world.
get off.
In an
Yeah,
ideal
I'm
world,
about to
this
get
would
off.
be a
I
problem, but
I
this
gotta
is
go
a
do some
problem.
work.
Yeah.
But I was saying like it like we don't have the stats for it because it's like unprecedented. So it's not like we can just pull up stats and say that's never happened.
But we
It's
do
never
have
happened because
we have stats for the
Yeah.
existing cases of like trans women being put in male prisons and like the cases of rape that occurred because of that. We also have the vice versa in which trans men go to female prisons and we can see the incidences of rape being done by these individuals, and we can compare the two to get an idea of what makes more sense in terms of what is real, right?
I mean, there's not enough cases though. There's like a couple cases here and there, but it's not enough
Yeah,
cases.
but
So
of
I
what?
like and like of trans men and women prisons. I mean, trans men and men prisons, male prisons, and trans women and women prisons. There aren't enough cases. There are cases, of course, like it has happened, but it's new, so we can't just say the lack of evidence proves that it doesn't happen or it's not going to happen.
We have to be making the decision based on something firm, though. We can't just be making it on fear. That was kind of my point.
Fair.
So whether or not there's not enough cases, however you want to like position that, we have plenty of cases to go off of. It's still that's what the decision should be made off of. That
We
if
don't
X
have.
population
Oh, sorry.
presents, if you're saying X population presents a higher risk of committing X crime, and we have, simply because they are that population, and we have statistics to show that that's not true, why are we making the decision based on that?
Very interesting, because I want to extend that just to another thing. Because you said X population, imagine if we extended that to, let's say, black people.
Race,
Black
absolutely.
people are, black people are 50% more likely to commit X
Oh,
crime,
don't do that bullshit,
or
man.
something like
I fucking
that.
hate this.
So therefore, you see, we're separating our society into segments, basically based on certain characteristics
That's not
that
the
are
same.
attributable to a group, and therefore, Muslims, right, shouldn't be able to buy fertilizer because they'll bomb something or some shit.
Exactly.
Wait, hold on. That is not the same. The whole argument with the whole like trans people in like prisons, because prison was originally divided by sex, right? And there's a lot of trans
Yeah.
people who get beaten up because they get put in male prisons. But the issue is that there's some trans people who may have functional autonomy that may allow them to have kids. And like the last thing people want is people to get pregnant in prison. That is not ideal. So a lot of people are arguing, should we have like a third like unit for trans people, or should it be a case by case basis? Because like there's an issue like anybody can say they're trans. How can we say you're not trans if somebody identifies as trans? There's like multiple variables. That's the issue. It's not the same thing with black people. It's not the same thing as a race thing. I hate when people do that.
No, I think, but the point he was illustrating was using the same logic of like a fear that people are ascribing to a certain population, whether or
Look,
not
this
it's
is
founded,
it's
is
gonna
is what
sound.
people are making decisions based on. And Starline, I get what you're saying, but the fear is not about women prisoners getting pregnant. The fear is about like rape and assault and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
women prisoners
I'm
get women all
gonna
the
I'm
time.
gonna make a suggestion, and it's gonna sound like a meme, but I want it to be considered, however briefly. What if we put them in chastity cages?
Is that a joke?
What the fuck?
Yo, bro, I don't even
Is
see how
that
that
a
wouldn't be a
I
meme.
know it
Like
sounds like a
note
meme,
that
but
as like
please
cancel
just
culture. That's just a straight meme.
You know that I had a friend once that
This is not a meme.
That is
Chastity
100% a meme,
cages.
bro. There's no way you're
that
being
says
serious.
that if
Like
He's
you
what?
use your
joking.
You know,
finger,
there are
Joey, that's
trans
just
women who
fucking
you would
kink.
not be able to put into chastity cages, right? Because they have
Yeah, their
vaginas.
dicks are too big.
No, I'm saying the ones who have vaginas. Like, again, I feel like it's like it just is ignored. Like,
Maybe the
it's
clothing should be more specialized though. Like maybe he has a point, kind of. Like maybe it's just too fucking easy to get raped in prison. We should do something about that.
Yeah, we should do
Oh,
something.
that's
I'm
true.
fucking
That's true
around.
as
I'm
well.
fucking around with the chastity thing. Like the main issue that you're bringing up, like, oh, what if the women get pregnant? I mean, there's issues with
That's
prisons.
not the issue that's
That's
being
that
discussed.
is not, yes, there's not that's something that people will bring up as a point, and like it's not really valid, but still, rape in prison is a problem. The first thing we should look to address is
That's true.
should we place these women or these trans men in this place and something like that. Like, we should probably solve the fact that prisons are fucking havens for all kinds of crime, and we're not really doing anything to stop it. We're kind of just letting it happen.
Wait, prison's
I
a
mean,
haven for crime?
that
What
is
are you talking
literally
about?
the stop to the crime,
Yeah,
right?
prisons are literally havens for crime. Crime isn't being stopped in prisons. Like rape
Crazy.
happens,
What do you
violence
expect
happens,
to do
murder happens.
when you put a bunch of criminals in like a cage, essentially, like a
It's so
gigantic
funny.
cage?
That's exactly the issue. We're not doing anything to make prisons actually, rehabilitation centers or containment centers. We're just throwing a bunch of people in the box and
I
just
mean,
letting
it
it happen
depends on where
for
you
extra
are.
money.
Some states believe in rehabilitation and they give all the opportunity that they can to allow like people who are criminals to be rehabilitated and get an
there's a
education,
guy,
get a job,
there's,
make
there's a
money.
guy who basically got a university degree while he was in prison, and he went from the drug trade to actually becoming a fairly successful trade person for a company. You know.
Yeah, I know someone who became a carpenter in prison. You know what I'm saying? And they came out, and that's
Okay.
their career now.
Maybe instead of just throwing people in a box and throwing the key away, we should look to make sure that these people get
I mean,
actual,
I
get
work as an
opportunity.
engineer, and I've committed a lot of crimes. I ain't never been caught though.
Do you, do you think that
That's
they should? Do you think they should be like rehabilitated, or do
No
you think prison should be like punishment as
punishment.
well?
No, to be
Because
real, dude.
it's
Honestly,
like
here's the thing we find out,
it's
right?
Well,
That
you
the
are
reality,
already
the reality
being
of the
punished.
situation.
I mean, I don't think the
You're
The
two are
already
reality,
being
necessarily not.
punished in
The two are
prison.
one
obviously
at a
like
time. One at a time. I can't hear all you. Can't hear all you. Uh,
the reality of it is like
Rat Lab. Yeah.
the
You're
reality
already
of it is
being
like
punished
we look at
in
prisons in
prison.
America. We look at prisons in
I like the Singapore
America.
model. I think we need to sort of have more Singapore style model.
What do you mean?
I know nothing about
So
that.
Singapore
In regards to what?
believes
Works
in
for
martial.
Singapore. Do you want
I
to
do
know why
like
Singapore works for Singapore?
why
You know something known as geographic determinism?
I don't think the Singapores are just racially superior.
No, Singapore works because of geographic determinism. Singapore is in a very unique place with a very unique set of circumstances, allowing you to implement certain policies that would not work in many of the other countries around it. It is in a trade zone. It is very wealthy due to the said trade. There is a lot of ships coming in and out of that place. It has a very educated elite. It has a very strong.
My bad for just abruptly freaking stopping that. I'm gonna have to. I gotta go do this call. I was supposed to do that 10 minutes ago. All right, but I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be back tomorrow. It's gonna be the same thing. Probably play a different game though, because Call of Duty is like when I'm in the mode for Call of Duty, I'm just like, yeah, I need something that's just like more laid back, more mellow. So, hey,